Hello, kiddies. It's your old pal John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And I hope you get to check out my good fiends at A Decade of Horror on the PSVG Podcast Network. I hope you love them like I do. They're a scream.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Greetings, ghouls and ghosts, and thank you for tuning in to A Decade of Horror, the Epilogue, scary movie podcast where we relive the podcast. That was one scary movie at a time. The gang's all here. Josh Bones.
Hi.
Spookus Lucas.
Hi.
And myself, obviously, Donnie. And tonight, if you're watching us live, we're joined by our plus one, Mr. Delvin Cox. What's going on, dude?
If you didn't know, I was always here just in the background, just watching it all happen.
Yeah?
like a serial killer, like Jason
Like
Friday the 13th. Just in the background, waiting for the white people to slip so I can murder them all.
Guys, we haven't talked or chatted scary movies since October 20,
months.
October 24th.
It was like a bad breakup. We didn't talk to each other. We didn't see each other.
So this is more of a free-flowing show, but we wanted to kind of wrap up what the show was, as we've kind of, everything is out and has been recorded. But we went over so many movies that a lot of people are asking for a definitive list. And as we said in our previous shows, like, let's get everything back together. Let's go over the list that we created in total, and let's make any final adjustments, a couple honorable recommendations, so we can close this little mini-series off correctly. So if you don't mind, I'd like to start there, and let's start with the podcast that was. Here is the definitive Decade of Horror list as it currently stands. 2010, The Crazies. 2011, Paranormal Activity 3. 2012, The Cabin in the Woods. 2013, The Evil Dead. 2014, The Babadook. 2015, It Follows. Lucas, if you tell me that one of these movies is not in the right year, I swear.
I was just realizing that what we're about to talk about, I don't even know the years for them. So
2016, The Witch. 2017, Get Out. 2018, Hereditary. 2019, Midsummer. 2020, Host. That's 11 movies total, and the plan is for us to add 4 more to this list to give you 15 of the best horror movies that you can watch from the last 11 years. Gentlemen, how do you feel about that list?
Solid list. I gotta be honest, this is a really solid list. I'm impressed that you guys kind of put this all together and it actually worked. Like, it's a testament to you guys and y'all hard work watching all these movies and kind of come up with your own definitive list for these movies. I'm excited. Also, Train to Busan is my choice. That should be in this list by far.
Well, okay, save that.
Yeah.
Save that. Is there anything that we put on this list that you now think needs to come off before we try and add anything else to it? Anything you're feeling like, guys, we might have missed it on this one?
Yeah, probably Midsummer.
Do not.
Hey, I will say this. I didn't like it as much as Donnie.
Nobody
likes that movie as much as me. Ari Aster doesn't like that movie as much as I do.
No,
You're good? Everybody's good?
I mean, when I was watching movies, I had this idea that I would look through 2010, 11, 12, and find a hidden gem we must have missed or something. But I don't know, man. It was those were bleak times, I guess. So
I have a movie I think I might replace one of our movies with, but I don't know if that's spoilers for what I watched after we recorded.
Okay. Well, we're going to get there. So, like I said, let's start this movie and let's get to these 15. So that means we have 4 spots to fill. We have not talked at all since our last show about scary movies, really. So nobody knows what anybody else is going to bring. And I'll kick off this rendezvous by correcting what is probably, in my opinion, the biggest sub in our current list, and that is The Conjuring not being on the list. We had deliberations, but Josh and I won out, and we put The Evil Dead, the remake, over The Conjuring. So I would first like to propose that we add The Conjuring to this list as number 12. And because, I mean, it kicked off an entire universe of movies. I think it's definitely one of the best horror movies of the decade. It just happens to be in a year where I think there was a better movie.
Okay, motion to add The Conjuring to the list.
Does anybody else? I mean, does anybody else feel like that one?
I agree because of the importance of the movie itself. Like you said, it built the whole universe. And I think it's a pretty good movie, and it leads up to stuff. It's just kind of like it kind of not only did it built its own universe and stuff, but it also kind of built its own genre in terms of bringing back those type of films. So I can see why it's important.
Yeah, it brought back the Haunting movie, the Scary House movie. I mean, it kind of brought all of that back, really, in a major way.
I feel like
Mr.
it should be on
Lucas,
here.
Rose, what say you?
I agree. I mean, I was the one fighting for this movie in place of what we actually went with. So obviously, I agree that it should be on the list.
Okay.
I
Thumbs up
No
across the
objection.
board. So now I'm going to step back and let you guys duke it out.
Ooh, okay.
oh boy.
Well, I know we're going to talk about movies we watched after this podcast,
Sure.
the podcasts, and something that I told you after I watched this film actually changed a little bit. I watched this film and I said, you know, I still don't think it beats my number one, but after marinating on it, I think I would put Let Me In above The Crazies.
Wow.
So you liked it that
So,
much?
I really was surprised by how well that film is made. Not just production, but story, acting, everything like comes together. And I wouldn't say it's like it's traditionally scary. It's not now scary, right? It's not like it does have moments of violence, but it's usually silhouetted or not necessarily in your face.
Mm-hmm.
But it's traditional horror because the premise is scary. The thought of this happening is scary. And it hits differently, right, than The Crazies. The Crazies is a full throttle, fast, scary, like violent movie. And this is kind of like the opposite of that movie. It's slow, it's methodical, but it has an incredible story behind it. And
That it does.
and it really hits on traditional vampire stuff, like stuff that we don't really see focused on. Usually like one or two things pop up in a vampire film and then they like break all the other rules, you know, however they want to. I don't know. It's just a movie that sits with me since I've watched it.
It's really exciting
constantly
when you're
think
the
of it.
person that recommended a movie that somebody else likes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a real rewarding feeling. It's my favorite vampire movie. That's what I told you when I put it up for consideration. I love that movie. So that's definitely a really good honorable mention throughout there. To kind of scope this project, I'm not sure what you guys have prepared in front of you. I have 10 to 12 movies that I think have honorable mention credibility.
Yeah.
Let Me In is one of them. I don't know if I'd give it one of the spots, but it's one of them. It's close. It's real close.
Well, let's keep it in the back of our minds then.
Sure.
Yeah. I will say this, and this is one of the reasons why I love this podcast so much, coming in as a fan of the show. The fact that there are so many horror movies I just didn't watch.
Mhm.
And hearing you guys break it down, even with the spoilers, it made me want to go watch the movie.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot for a great job that you guys done with this show. Like, if you're telling me about a story and you telling me the highs and lows of it in such detail that makes me say, you know what? Let me check this out. And I've checked them out, a lot of these movies out because of you guys' recommendations, and I've enjoyed them. And I think that's just a testament of how good this show is. Because you guys kind of break it down in a way that is digestible for us to understand, even with the plot twists and stuff. Even with some of the spoilers that you guys give, when I watch the movie, it still feels fresh.
Yeah,
so that's just
because the argument that I would make on the spoilers front is I can tell you what happens, but seeing is believing. Like, you can anticipate something and it still not ruin the entire movie for you, especially if you've never seen it before. You know, I think it's different if you're watching it for like the second or third time, but if you're seeing it for the first time, it's still new. Depends on how twisty the spoiler is. And I think we tried to stay away from like the ultimate twist, unless it was a pretty old or pretty popular movie.
I agree.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you, Delvin. Lucas?
Yeah. We need to talk about Kevin.
Ooh. Did you like this one or no?
Yes.
Ooh. I'm 2 for 2.
I would say that in the light of, let's see, Paranormal Activity 3 was the 2011 top dog.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking about not even a trilogy at that point, but the third movie, I don't know, man. After watching this movie, it feels a bit above the rest. It's like a cut above, you know, from the directorial standpoint, from the story, everything. This is like pre-Midsummer, pre-Hereditary, you know, that class of movie. While not necessarily horror as we think about it, slasher type movie, something like that. I find there's 2 types of horror movies, or at least that's the way they get categorized. Horror movies like slashers, and then horror movies that are about things that are horrible. You know what I mean? Events. The type of movies that are an experience that are horrible.
That's what I'm saying. We had the Sandy Hook shooting and you know, Columbine and all these other things, these moments that like really kind of rock our just our well-being, you know, just our general day-to-day. And this movie plays on that, and that's a heavy theme. And when I mentioned it on our podcast, I'm still particularly stunned that more horror creators haven't gone there. And I just wonder if it's too heavy, if it's too taboo, and they're just a little scared to go there.
Well, and during this movie, you kind of get the sense of, I tried to go in as not knowing as much as I could after talking about it, you know, kind of let enough time go by that I was like, oh, I sort of remember where this is going. But even so, it's done skillfully in such a way that it actually tells you or hints towards that anyway, but you're left wanting to watch, or at least I was left wanting to watch it, even though I know what direction it was going. There's a lot of things happening here. It's not just this kid is an awful kid. It's the mom's journey from before to now and what she's experiencing. There's a lot of stuff going on in this movie. Yeah. And I think it was done really well, and I think it deserves a bit more credit than it has been given. So I think it should replace, because Paranormal Activity, it's a fun ghost movie.
You're touching on I love it. It's Toby, baby.
Paranormal Activity.
It's the best one.
I will say that I haven't watched Paranormal Activity yet, 3, but to me, the first one is the one that sort of kicked off that whole found footage genre again. Sure. And to me, that almost gives it more credence to be on a list like this than the third one in the series. Well, you know what I mean?
It came out before 2010, so we can't.
Yes, of course. But
yeah, no, I definitely get it. It definitely has the cachet, and the way it was shot, and like the Blair Witch, like its success in the sense of its creation is almost a bigger story than the actual movie itself. But I personally like 3. I think 3 is the best one of the bunch.
So maybe a spot in the honorable mentions.
Yeah, I think
especially since
you've made a strong
10
case.
to, 10
Pick
to
me, pick me.
2012 is
I'm sorry.
Pick me. Pick
Like-
me.
Well, I wanted to quickly. So, Delvin, your honorable mention is Train to Busan.
Yes. I saw the movie after you guys recommended.
Had you ever heard of it before listening to the show?
No.
Really?
Oh,
Never heard of it.
Wow, guys,
And
that's
that's
the
people
dream.
who know me know I don't like subtitles at all. like I watch anime
tough.
dubbed.
It's tough.
I watch anime dubbed. I watch any movie that has subtitles. Like if it doesn't, if I can't watch the dubbed version, I just don't watch it. So I came in this movie like I don't think I'm gonna like this. As soon as I got into this world of this movie, I was enthralled to the beginning to end. It may be my favorite zombie movie of all time.
wow.
That's a very good pick if it is. I mean, there's no shame and there's no stone that I would throw if that's your favorite zombie movie. It's deserving of that type of credential.
I like everything about it. I like the fact that the zombies, and this is something I don't think I even touched on about it that got to me, is the fact that these zombies are virtually indestructible. Like Walking Dead zombies, you hit them in the head, they're out. These zombies, they were bashing them in the head, they were flying off of roofs, and they were still coming. It was insane. It was almost like World War Z,
Yeah.
but the people
But better.
didn't feel. Yeah,
But
the
better.
people didn't feel powered. They felt helpless. So it was like watching everything go down and watching the people that you grew to like in the movie die was heartbreaking. Like, damn, that sucks. It got to me more in a way that most movies don't get to me in terms of like there are characters in this film that are just some are unlikable, some are badass, and some are just snakes.
Yeah.
And when you will go through a range of emotions from completely hating one character to loving him, and there's characters that you didn't think anything about, then you end up despising that character because of certain actions they committed in the film. And I found that fascinating because it's such a good movie. I highly recommend it. It's one of the few times where I watched the movie, and as soon as I got off from finished watching it, I immediately went on Twitter, start talking about it, ranting and raving about it. People were like, "Oh, this movie has a sequel." Like, what? like, yeah, it has a sequel. I'm like, when does it come out? Oh, it's already out. You can like buy the sequel. It's like $6.
If I can save you the time and money, don't.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've
just
heard
don't.
the sequel is
It's not
Oh,
good.
no.
it's not good. I've heard
It's
the
not
sequel
even
is
like bad for a sequel. It's just bad, which is worse.
good. Yeah.
It's not. Again, it's not really a sequel. They're doing like this weird thing where it's like A Tale to You, brought to by Train to Busan. This other thing that's loosely in the same universe, and it's not as good. It's not good. It's more like a Resident Evil movie. And if you go into it wanting that, it's not awful, crazy action scenes and stuff. But coming off the first movie, you're like, this is not what I want at all. Like it is not. It's not even close. It's not even close to the same thing.
Train to Busan feels like what I want a Resident Evil movie to be.
And then Peninsula
Yeah.
is basically them trying to make Resident Evil.
There you go.
So don't watch that one. That one's not good. All right. So all four of us have put a movie down. All four of these movies are on my honorable mention list. Josh, you said you had another one.
I wanted to talk about what Lucas's movie.
Oh,
no.
okay.
So I also watched this. This was a movie that I watched post podcast.
And you hated it.
I hated it the way you hated Last of Us 2.
No.
I 100% get why it's important and why people like it.
Sure.
But I hated this movie. My biggest criticism, well, there's a few, I should say, because if I hated it, I would have more than one criticism. I didn't like the way it was shot, first of all. I really did not like the way they handled it.
Oh,
it
wow.
was a lot of
You mean like the cutscenes, like the throwbacks?
waiting to, like, they're trying to tell you the story and it's just so boring at the beginning. Like, I get it. You get it right away. Yeah, the mother's having a tough time. You get it right away. But then you
haven't lived in it.
70 minutes of
Yeah, you
her.
got to live in it.
Yeah, but you live in
Yeah.
it for 7 minutes, and it's still just as bad. Like, and you know what else I didn't like is they, and I can only speak for myself, but really what they do for me was it seemed like they were trying to put in my head that a sociopath is created by a mother who isn't maybe the best mother. And I was like, is that what they're trying to tell me?
I mean, I totally think that's possible.
Are they telling me two things? Are they telling me he is a sociopath and she's a bad mother? Are they telling me he killed
My take was
everyone
he's a
because his
sociopath,
mother
so
was
she
bad?
became a bad mother. Like it was his behavior that set her
she's
off
like-
that way.
She's not like the worst mother.
She
Like,
keeps trying to care for him
right. She
and
did
keeps
some
getting rejected. And like, what
Right.
would that do to you as a parent and your psyche?
Yeah. That's
right.
kind of how I took it, but it does ask those questions, and to me, like, there's not really a clear answer there, but it does pose those questions, and I found myself having to be like, because to me it was hard believing that a kid at that age could be that evil. You know what I mean? Because it's like, really, the kid is always evil. He's never just like drawing or watching cartoons or doing kid stuff. He's just literally out to get his mom constantly. But then I had to put that.
food.
What's that?
He's smushing his food, and it's upsetting.
Yes. No, he does do a lot of things that are upsetting, and I just had to put that out of my mind and be like, okay, but what if there was this one kid?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just takes one.
But those types, yeah, exactly. Those types of thoughts, and like what you said with saying, is she a bad mom? I think part of that just comes down to that she's thinking as a character, is she a bad mom?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that where she's, remembering these times, and it's like, am I the cause of all that? And to me, that's part of what makes it so great, is like, if you've been a parent, those times. Obviously, her relationship with her kid is almost 100%. Am I doing the wrong thing for my child? Am I flying off the handle too much?
And then divorce talk where he, like, John C. Reilly just looks at her and he goes, I guess at least the custody thing is handled. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, the relationships feel fairly real, and they're intricate because the kid is pitting the husband against the mom. He knows
And the
exactly.
sister.
Yeah,
And you see the deterioration of like their love, and you see like how much they like each other and how bad it gets. And to provide a little cover fire for Josh, if we're gonna try to vote this one off the island, it's a tough recommendation.
Yes.
It's
I'm
not
trying
for
to vote it out.
everybody. It is slow. At times it's kind of artsy. It does require, I think, like a good amount of your attention, and not in like a thrilling, it's constantly captivating type of way.
Yeah.
It can be slow or boring, but it's real life. I think that's why, it's not like we've set the house on fire and slit somebody's throat. It's not shocking in that way. It's very grounded, and that can feel normal. You're like, what am I watching?
Some people had that reaction to Midsummer. I remember some people like, this is slow and boring. And even that movie does more than this one
By far.
Try to get you engaged right off the bat. Like, the opening is just wow. Whereas this, you're just kind of, like you said, you live in that depression for quite some time. And I can't, like, Josh, if you found that boring, there's nothing I could tell you that's going to change your mind. And that is
Which is,
difficulty of.
But I get why it's beloved. Like, beloved. I do get it. It's one of those, like another movie I watched in this list, like, it just hits that thing that fights against my sensibilities, that child danger.
Yeah, you've talked about that.
That weird. I don't know.
It's a trope,
just hits
man.
that
That's going to
thing
like
for
cut
me.
off like a quarter of horror movies for you. That's a
I
quarter
know,
of
wow.
every horror movie.
Well, I think when it's not used like a crutch, like in Pet Sematary, like, I think it can be okay, which is why I get why people like this.
Yeah.
I
just don't want it
just for
dangled
me. For me, it's just not in the wheelhouse.
I brought up my wife. She loves this movie, but it's real hard for her to like. This was a tough one for her to watch. The reason we ever watched this movie, and the reason I ever came across it, I think I was looking up things that were like The Omen. I've talked about before. Like, she likes like the scary child movie, and this one was tough. Like, she was like, I don't know if I want to watch this again. She loves it. She thinks it's a great movie, but it's hard.
It's grounded in reality, which
it
makes
really
harder
is.
to separate it from horror.
It makes it scarier.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, what's more believable, this story or like two kids sewing their mom's mouth shut? Like this
Right.
story. Okay, we've knocked off almost half of my movies, so I'm just gonna start throwing them out here so we can try it. Because remember, we gotta pick 3, and I got 12, and you guys have routed off 4 of them. So I'm gonna start with the first movie that I think. Ooh, I'm gonna make a case to put it on this list, which means one of my favorites is gonna be off. Lucas, you recommended a movie to me that I watched after our show that I hadn't watched before, and it is called The Platform, and it is excellent. It is.
I think that was Josh.
Or was it Josh?
It was
Yeah.
me, but that's okay.
Sorry.
We can give it to Lucas.
I ended up watching it too, though, so at least I can.
It's incredible. It's
Isn't it?
really good. I was like, how have I not watched this movie before? So,
Subtitles, that's how.
you're right. Subtitles. It's a tough recommendation, but it is great. And having watched it, this is one of the movies, and it's not like in a Saw type of way or like Hostel, but this movie like made me want to look away from the screen.
I had 2 moments when I had to do it during this movie.
Just like, oh, I can't. And man, it was really, really good. We watched it from start to completion. I have a list here of, I think, 12 movies.
And I will describe them.
I have a list here of 12 movies that you guys recommended that I hadn't watched, and I watched 6 of them.
Nice.
I still haven't done Hobo with a Shotgun. I haven't done Snowpiercer. But I've done.
I wouldn't consider Snowpiercer a horror movie, though. I like Snowpiercer a lot, but I wouldn't consider it horror.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
Okay. And I didn't do Love and Monsters yet. That was another one that I really wanted to get to. That I've been
like
waiting.
a romantic horror.
Okay. But of the list,
You're okay.
I like this movie a lot, and I would throw it up for consideration for honorable mention.
Okay.
Nice.
The other ones that I'll throw out here real quick, we'll just run through them. You're Next, Southbound, As Above, So Below, Insidious, and then you guys have named all the other ones.
Oh, As Above, So Below isn't on our list.
Didn't make it.
Okay, let me just do 2 real quick since we're doing we're just doing the nominations.
Yeah.
We'll talk about them later.
We're talking about them now.
I guess maybe You're Next I would add as my 3rd because I actually really enjoyed that.
Yes.
I did
Yes.
too.
Did you?
Yes.
Did you find it from the show or did you already watch it?
I had it on Blu-ray and watched it a long time ago, and I liked it back then. It's interesting and entertaining movie. I liked it a lot.
Best modern slasher. That was my take on it.
Yes.
I think it's the best modern slasher. I think the slasher could live amongst the 80s slashers and nobody would know. If like what we told you, it could totally live there.
There's a great moment in that movie where the main character, well, I shouldn't say the main character. The main character is the girl, but she comes with her boyfriend to the family thing and you know, things get out of hand and she starts taking control and it seems very unbelievable. And I think the best moment is when halfway through the movie that is explained why she can do what she does. And it totally coasted from there for me. I was like, this hits right at the right moment because you're questioning if she could be bad or if she could be like, what the deal is, why does she know these things? And then they just give you this awesome character development in the middle of the movie where it's with people you think like that don't even need to know this information, but it really just cements that character for you in the ending, man. Like the very, very ending.
I'm so happy that you like this movie. I've been telling people for like 7 years how great Your Next is. And I feel like it's one of those movies. Everybody probably has that movie. I feel like it's one of those hidden gems that I know about that nobody in the world knows about. I'm like, you've got to watch this movie. Do you like Jason? Watch this movie.
It was great. Lucas recommended The Ritual, and I loved it.
Good one. I have a listener of the show, a friend of mine who listens to the show, who also watched that movie and loved it. He sent me a whole text thread about it.
It's the Blair Witch movie we should have gotten.
Good point.
It is so well done. The acting is incredible. The storytelling works real well, and everything, I think Lucas said this while we were recording, everything seems plausible. I think he was talking about this movie, and I pulled up the trailer, and I was like, oh, the tents fly in the air too. And he was like, yeah, but it makes sense. And then I watched it. He was right. It made sense. And I think everything about that
you
movie
can suspend disbelief when given a reason to do so.
Yes, exactly. Magic can exist in a world as long as the magic has rules and makes sense. You
That's
can't
me
just-
and Delvin's biggest
Explanation for
complaints
wrestling.
with wrestling. All kinds of crazy things can happen when explained and given motive.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
very accurate.
I would add Bone Tomahawk, but I can also understand how it could be considered more of a Western than a horror movie.
Sure.
I would second you on the Bone Tomahawk
As a recommendation or more Western than horror?
as a recommendation.
Oh,
excuse
okay.
me. Sorry.
Bone Tomahawk does a really good thing about
Why are
character
you in my
development
breakfast?
and making
I love that line.
and making everything like I watched on the Blu-ray. There's like it kicks right into a Fantastic Fest interview after they screen the film. We talked to the director and Richard Jenkins and Matthew Fox, and I was like, Richard Jenkins was in this movie. I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my god, this movie's 10 times better now. He's such a great character actor. I couldn't believe it. I just spit across my room right now.
If it wasn't spit.
That's such a great movie. The reason why it's a great horror movie is because it's not like a horror movie until it is, and then it's
This
all
like
it is a horror
like-
movie.
45 minutes into it, you get like that misery scene,
Yes,
and you're like,
Yeah.
ugh. And then you're like, all right, we're here. Like, there's no horror. And then, yeah, you're right. It's like 0 to 10, total horror movie.
or you live with these characters the whole movie. So at the by the time it becomes the horror film, you're already invested in these characters. Even if you were like going in to expect it to be a horror, there's going to be a point in the movie where you go, oh, okay, it's not a horror movie, but it's it's good so far.
Mhm.
And then
A bone tomahawk comes out of nowhere.
yeah,
Yes, it does. And what a
I
sound.
was
it
like, oh, that's why they call
The
it
sounds.
this movie, Bone
The
Tomahawk.
sounds in Bone Tomahawk are expert level, right?
They
Yeah,
filmed
they
that
really are.
movie in 21 days.
The crunching,
Holy cow.
like the sounds are the best.
Everything has a very heavy weighted sound
Yeah.
to it. When the bone tomahawk hits, it just
You
crunches,
feel it.
whistles
like-
through the air. Yeah.
That's good.
So there's other movies I want to talk about, but I want to get to you guys too. I don't want to just.
Would they
of
be
other ones-
honorable recommendations?
No, the other ones
Okay.
I just want to talk about.
Cool. Anybody else have any other honorable recommendations?
I have two,
Okay.
actually. One, you guys talk. Well, both of them talked about on the show, but Happy Death Day.
As an honorable recommendation for one of the best movies of the decade.
Yes, I'll tell you why.
No.
I'll tell you why.
Shut you down.
Well,
I like it. I don't like it that much. There are a lot of good movies we're going to leave off this
oh yeah,
list.
definitely. Definitely. The other one I think should definitely be on this list.
Okay.
The other one I'm gonna mention should definitely be on this list. But Happy Death Day is one of those movies I feel like that it's kind of had that Scream feel to it, that Scream horror feel when it's trying to do something different and unique to the genre that we haven't seen before, like the whole Groundhog Day thing, and we're trying to find the killer, and as hard as this person at the beginning of the story is kind of irredeemable. They're a horrible person, and then when you see them get killed and stuff, and as the story progresses, you see them get killed in more brutal, violent ways, and you're trying to.
I do like how much variety they do with their kill scenes.
Yes,
Yeah, that's real good.
and I feel like this movie, because they've been trying to do this for the longest time, bring back that kind of young horror feel with the young teens or the college.
It's a horror
students that get-
comedy.
Yeah.
It's a team screen. Like, it's not. So here's the thing: the Groundhog Day is somewhat novel to the horror thing, but like the Teen Scream isn't. Like we've done horror comedies for a long time. I do think Happy Death Day does it well. I think,
and that's my point.
I think the script is pretty smart, actually.
Because the teen screams, as of late, have not been necessarily that good.
More of them than not are bad.
Yeah, like
About
really bad.
7 out of 10 of them are bad, and about 2 are just okay. And rarely do you get one that you're like, "This is good." I agree with you. I think it's good.
And that's why I kind of land on it in terms of like, okay, you read like Scream is one of them.
Yeah,
Then you get I Know What You Did Last Summer.
that's not as
Then-
good.
Exactly. Then you get like, then you go down the list like these kind of young
Scream
coming
wannabe.
of age horror movies are hard to find. So when you get one that's good like Happy Death Day, it's like, oh, this is really good. And plus, I think people slept on that film.
I do too. That's actually one of my things about it is I think it, for whatever reason, sometimes, public reception to something is just negative. And like this movie and its trailer, like in all of the blogs and all the stuff I listen to, they immediately like turned on it. They're like, this isn't going to be any good. I think my wife said the same thing the first time we saw the trailer. This isn't going to be any good. And then I bought the movie and we watched it, and it's like, I'm not here to tell you it's the greatest thing ever, but it is good. It's a good, entertaining movie.
I think the 50 Cent song kind of commercial kind of threw people off of it because the whole commercial with them playing Go Shorty, it's your birthday. And they kept playing it over and over again like, oh, this is going to be terrible.
It's your birthday. I don't have to pick up the phone. That's my wife's. I woke my wife up to that song this year on her birthday. We played that for the alarm.
Did you try to murder you?
I mean,
it was a rough year for Happy Death Day. 2017. There's probably 8 movies I'd put ahead of it.
Yeah, that's the problem with it. It's just good, but better than Jennifer Love Hewitt's attempt at horror. So
disagree. I did not like the Happy Death Day. I prefer I Still Know What You Did Last Summer over Happy Death Day.
Ooh, I did not like that.
Wow.
Me neither.
Wow. Okay. What was your second one?
Us.
Okay.
I think Us is one of those movies that try to do something different. I feel like Us, like Donnie kind of feels about Midsummer. In terms of Us is so multi-layered and stuff. If you don't catch all the things,
Sure,
you won't get it. But when you get it and it connects with you, you're like, holy crap, this is good. Like, I remember when I first saw the movie. I saw the movie on, not even opening, I saw it a month before it came out because I had press passes to see it. And it was like, I didn't know what to expect because I didn't hear anything about the movie. I heard like in Jordan Peele's next movie and stuff like that. And when I watched it, when I left the movie theater, I didn't know what to feel about it. I was kind of like, that ending was kind of weird. Like, what does that mean? But then it was one of those movies that made me want to look into all the things about it, all the aspects about the movie. And then when I watched it again, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. And it's one of those movies that if you pay attention to it, you have to sit down and think. But if you pay attention to it, you'll love every aspect of it. Like even the little small details of like how, well, I guess we're getting the spoilers for Us. The big plot twist.
How dare you? What a
the big plot twist of the movie about who the girl is and who the girl became is kind of like, it's fascinating because the beginning of the movie, you're showing this little girl with this little black girl with this in the strip family who her dad's kind of a jerk or whatnot. And through some happenstance, she gets thrown into this weird world, but we don't know that she's got thrown into this weird world.
Well, I feel like we do, but we like that was my thing about the movie is at the beginning we do. Like that's totally the insinuation is, oh yeah, this just happened. But you don't know it, and the movie goes a long way out of its way to convince you otherwise. Only to then turn it back around and do it again. So I felt duped twice.
Yeah, and I think that's the brilliance of it because then when you think about it more, it's kind of a messed up situation in terms of like, these parents got this child that wasn't their child and raised this child who, by all circumstances, could not talk, could not do anything else because the child came from another world, essentially, where she had to, so this child had to relearn everything that we learned in a short period of time. Like, I think the child was like 12 at the time.
I don't.
Yeah, 11.
Yeah, let's just say she like so she had to relearn.
Younger, but okay.
She had to relearn English and everything, and adapt to this new life, this kind of good life, as opposed to the life she was living before. While this other child, who was already kind of in that good life, was basically stricken into less than poverty.
Yeah,
and because she was kind of the best of the worst, because she had intelligence and stuff like that, because she came from this world.
The land of the blind.
She was able to inspire this whole group of people to follow her lead. And they thought that she was leading them to the promised land. That's how they got so enthralled into this Hands Across America thing. And And it's crazy because they thought their salvation was, hey, we're going to kill our oppressors, per se, and do this hands across America thing.
Not per se.
Yeah, they pretty much did.
It's very much we're going to kill them.
They killed their oppressors, and they thought doing the hands across America would solve their problems. But the problem is, they didn't think past that. That was their solution.
Right.
So, pretty much, all those creatures died. They're all dead because they didn't. Their whole thing was, let's kill our oppressors and do this hands across America thing, and we will basically get our salvation.
Well, that's an interesting take. I never got that when I watched it. That that they all died, because we don't see that, and that's my biggest issue with the movie, is that there's so much left to interpretation.
Yes, because that's the whole thing about it, which is kind of fucked up because they were following this one person, they didn't know what to do after they got their victory.
Yeah.
So they're just essentially stuck in that one spot.
Kind of like they were when, before they'd come out from the underground.
Yes.
That movie needs a prequel and a sequel. Like, there's just a whole lot to that universe that we just don't have.
I think it's a fascinating universe, by the way.
I agree.
The whole thing
that was my biggest issue with it, that it was tremendous. And there's so much left there that that's untold.
Yeah, even the whole thing about the government making these copies of people to basically manipulate them, because the whole system was supposed to be...
What an amazing Netflix series this could be.
Yeah, very much so. The people on the bottom were supposed to be able to manipulate the people on the top.
Right.
But that's not what happened. And they couldn't figure out the system, so they kind of just dumped the program. So that part of it alone feeds into black people's fear. Because a lot of black people always have that fear of like, oh, the government's out to get us. Yeah. They always like, from the Tuskegee experiments and all that stuff through, that's a fear of black people. That's actually a fear of black people. So when you see these type of things, they're like, oh, this shit can actually happen. Like the government's always trying to figure out ways to get to us. Mm-hmm. And I think Us does a great job at playing on that and saying, hey, this is one of the experiments they tried. It just failed, and they just abandoned it. And they thought nobody would find out about it, but by happenstance, no, somebody found out about it, and it got out and became a national disaster.
It would be a tremendous TV series, though. Like just the whole espionage, like back end, trying to keep it secret and everything, and then the actual thing coming out, and then how people deal with it and stuff. Like it would be a tremendous series. All right, anybody else? Honorable mentions, because we got to pick 3.
Some of mine were already said, so I'll just, I don't have to talk about them really because I've already talked about them, but I would also like to offer up for your consideration. Green Room, I still think one of my, I forgot about The Witch because of Green Room, and I had to go back and go, wait. I just love that movie. And then I was going to recommend Mandy, but instead I'm going to go with The Void, because I think
The Void.
Mandy is a little bit too hard to recommend, whereas The Void kind of hits sort of that 80s body horror type thing that who you could recommend that movie to. So I'm going to put up The Void for recommendation, just because it's sort of like Evil Dead. If you look at our list that we have, a lot of them are just, the type of movies that movie lovers can appreciate, people who...
This is where he rags on all of our favorite movies, Josh. This is the part of the show.
No. But like Evil Dead is
They're
also...
okay,
Evil Dead's fine.
They're not films, but,
Compare Midsummer to Evil Dead.
Don't do that.
I can
watch them in a double feature and
exactly.
say thank you.
Lucas, I want to
can
I sway your opinion? Can you want to add a movie to your list that I want to add, and maybe we can push Donnie to add it?
Okay.
Colorado Space.
Colorado Space?
Colorado Space.
Yeah, that's a quick no for me.
I think that's a hard sell.
Mandy is way better than that movie.
I was our number ones.
Yeah, but that's because 2020 has sucked.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to bring some process here.
Okay.
I concur with Train to Busan. I think it's one of the better movies of the decade.
Yeah, I'm okay with adding that.
So I'm going to say Train to Busan, Let Me In, and You're Next. Those are my 3 that I would recommend in here.
Those are your only 3? No budge?
I'm trying to pick the best out of these. Now,
Are you trying
No-
to pick the best out of your list?
No, yeah, I am.
Or-
I'm trying to pick the best out of my list.
Okay.
So deliberate. Those are the 3 that I would take out of all the honorable mentions that you have said that I've seen and mine, and the 3 that I would go with would be
All right,
Train to
hold
Busan, Let Me In, and You're Next.
Let me do this. So what we're gonna do? So
So hang on. Let's Train to
Delvin
Busan.
has
Yay or nay?
Train to Busan,
Okay.
Okay.
right?
You know what?
There needs to be more zombie rep in this list, so I'll say yay to Train to Busan.
Happy Death Day.
I'll say yay because I feel like
You
this is the one I
recommended
can
it.
get
Like
in.
that's
Yeah, I feel like out of the choices,
you can't
that I
say
have,
no now. You put it on
Yeah.
the list.
I feel like out of the choices I have, this is the one that can get in.
So that means we really only have 2. We have 2
Donnie, you
spots.
You're next.
I
Wait,
have
I
You're
thought we
Next.
had
Now
4.
here's the thing. If I had to rank them, You're Next, then Let Me In.
Let me in. Really?
Yeah, I love
We're
You're
gonna have
Next.
we're
And
gonna
it
have a
kills
fight.
me because I'm staring at As Above, So Below, and I feel like it needs to be on this list.
I wish I had watched Your Next. I saw it when it first came out, and I don't remember anything about it.
You know what? I'm going to take it back. I'm going to go You're Next, As Above, So Below.
Wow.
I'm out on Let Me In.
Well, don't
gotta-
worry. Let me in is on my list.
You got to
so-
fight that one on your own, Josh.
As above.
I love it.
so
My favorite zombie movie.
below. Actually, I love As Above, So Below as well. Lucas, you have
We need to talk about Kevin.
Kevin. You're
The
gonna have to fight
Void.
me on that one. The Void. I
Of
like
course,
it.
Lucas brings the Kevin movie to the show.
And
Green Room.
Green Room.
Or Kevin representation in this episode.
I have Let Me In.
Oh, I forgot about the
Did you-
platform. Nope,
did you have-
take it back.
Well,
Take it back. You're next to the
Oh.
platform.
Oh
you
boy.
only got some two, Donnie, so you can have the platform.
Are you doing Bone Tomahawk? Joshy?
Not
For me, don't tell me what to do, Donnie.
He's like, no, don't even
so
bother.
at this point we're picking 2 out of like 12, so we're splitting hairs.
I'm just doing 3 each. What we have.
We have The
3 for
Conjuring
Delvin,
and Train to
3 for
Busan
you, 3 for Lucas.
Conjuring.
filling 2 of 4 spaces. We
You know
need
what?
2 movies to complete this list. We need 2 movies to complete this list.
You know what? I'll go with Donnie and say you're next.
Oh, I've got votes.
I like you next, so I'll go with Donnie and say you're next.
Yes, and I'll put Bone Tomahawk for my 3rd nomination. I had to teach myself how to spell tomahawk 3 times this week, but now I know how to spell it.
Is it Tomahawk?
Hot. It's A. Okay, so Train to Busan is definitely in.
Yep. The
And my
Conjuring's in.
friend,
In the Conjuring.
The Conjuring.
We have to pick 2.
Uh,
No. If
which
Your Next
I
is in, we got to
think
pick 1.
protest, but that's okay. I know better than to. I haven't seen it, so I can't really protest it.
Well,
Conjuring.
I mean, really, for my list, the only thing that I'm going to say is Green Room.
Okay, so
It's hard. It's hard for me to really. Like,
gonna have
we
to
need
pick
talk
one of
about
these
Kevin.
movies.
Yeah, I mean,
let's
I'm putting
pick on
Green Room up.
Conjuring.
I'm sorry?
You want to pick on a movie? You said. Let's
No.
pick on the
I feel like to split a vote here, I'm going to have to pick one of the movies that's not my movie.
Right. So we have Conjuring Busan.
Yeah,
That's
they're in.
it so far.
They're
Those
in.
are in.
They're
We
in.
need 2 more.
2 more.
I-
We have to pick.
I said You're Next. You said You're Next, and Delvin said You're Next. So it feels like You're Next fills one of those.
I mean, I
Unless
mentioned
you
I
back
watched it and I loved it. Yeah, I mean,
That
I
means
think
that means
I
we
would
have
have
one
to
spot.
vote. But would I pick it over the platform?
Good point. I also would suggest the platform. If you'd like, I mean, all 4 of my movies could just fill the spot.
No.
We could go to the platform, You're Next, Train to Busan, and The Conjuring. That sounds amazing.
I mean, they're all amazing.
Yeah, those are 4
All of
movies I could totally get behind. I like it, guys. Good job. Sorry, Lucas.
I don't like where this is going. I guess You're Next is on the list.
So we have one spot.
That's the one I suggested. Lucas did
Well,
not
here.
submit the platform.
You suggested 8 movies.
I liked the platform. I would be all right. I just,
If you liked it, it shouldn't go on the list, Lucas. You should love it.
I don't think it's that scary.
Okay.
Okay, is now horror movies happen?
We have 2 votes for the platform right now.
Scary. than horror.
Yeah.
We have one movie left. We have to pick between Happy Death Day, Us,
Yeah,
As
it's not
Above,
Happy
So
Death
Below,
Day.
A Platform. We need to talk about Kevin, The Void, Green Room, Let Me In, The Ritual, and Bone Tomahawk. I would pick Let Me In out of those for me.
Okay. Out of those, which one you would pick the Green Room, Lucas?
What?
Out of those that he just mentioned, you would pick Green Room.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Out of those he just mentioned, which ones would you pick, Delvin?
I would pick Us, but I don't feel like Us can win.
It's not going to.
So I'm willing to negotiate. So one of you guys are gonna have to sell me on to your side. So
I'm so tired though.
Okay, Josh, what would be your second pick?
My second pick, honestly, from this list is probably As Above, So Below.
I can get behind that.
That's a scary ass
I can
movie.
give up the platform for As Above, So Below. I can do that.
I think what we need,
And I like
what
it more than the Green Room.
I think what I feel like we need in this list, kind of what's missing, are the fun movies. It's kind of what I was getting at earlier. Like we have Evil Dead. It's fun, you know.
Stop bringing up Evil Dead, Lucas.
Paranormal,
We have the Cabin in the Woods. That is the funnest
Cabin
horror
in the
movie of all time.
right, but then the rest of them are like heavy 3-hour summers.
depressing.
Yeah, just
So
filled
Lucas is nominating Gretel and
There's
Hansel.
like 3 of those.
60 minutes.
Hang
of
on. Did you all watch Host?
characterization.
Or you guys
Yeah.
watched Host before we recorded last time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch Host, Delvin?
Yes, I did.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Everybody
For
watch Host.
2020.
Let's
Okay.
replace.
Let's replace. You're out.
I mean, I could do As Above, So Below.
Oh,
Is that it?
I'm
There's
just
a
saying
quorum.
it changes.
I
It
think that's
changes
three.
the flavor of the dish.
As long as it's not us, guys, we gotta remember the focus of this exercise to not pick us or Happy Death Day. That's the focus of this episode.
You're allowed to bring things, Calvin, but we
Okay.
are not to pick them.
All right, I'm gonna call it As Above, So Below, because we got to get to other things on the show. We can't just keep doing this.
well, that's 3 out of 4 votes. We're
Yeah,
good.
it's 3 out of 4 votes. That's it. So our honorable mentions go with the list that I named earlier, and if you don't want to recount all this, it will be in your show notes. So just look into the show notes and you will have it. Our honorable mentions: The Conjuring, Train to Busan, You're Next, As Above, So Below, and the 90 other movies we just routed off in deliberation. Go watch all those movies, and we hope you enjoy them all.
Do you know You're Next takes immediate umbrage with Home Alone with the nail in the foot? They don't. They think it hurts way more.
Oh yeah, I freaking love that movie. So now that we've done our list, and I think segueing like again to the platform, because I think it's the first one that I really think of. What are any other movies you guys just want to talk about that you've watched since the show?
I watched Underwater.
Yeah,
I thought it was
I saw that one.
Underwear.
underwear.
That's what that movie's basically.
Yes, they definitely had to wear underwear in those suits.
It's just like a Hanes commercial for.
They did a great job with that too. I thought it was going to be a little bit like pervy. Why are you doing this? But then they showed TJ Miller's like ripped underwear, and I was like, okay, they made it funny.
Yeah.
It was a great. It was not a great movie. It was a good movie.
Yeah.
That mixed The Abyss with the first Alien movie,
Yep.
and made it its own movie. Like made it compelling. And it was dark enough that they didn't have to worry too much about special effects. I think they did a good job, and they really played on that claustrophobia thing. Like if you're a claustrophobic person, this will be a tough movie to watch, I would imagine. But intentionally, right? You know, I thought they did a really good job.
I'd agree with you. I think that was really good. In addition to the platform, the other movie I watched was Swallow. And you guys watched Swallow?
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not getting that one.
That's an
I saw
interesting
the
movie, man.
trailer.
That's
Yeah, I
that's
saw the
weird.
trailer. Was
Ooh.
it rough to get through? Is
Kind
it-
of, but not like it didn't really bother me. It bothered my wife a lot more than me. But just like watching this lady like compulsively just swallow random objects. And then I think the scarier part of me was my wife telling me how much of a thing that really is.
That is the thing, yes.
I'm like, what? Why? Why are they? And then she goes, this is the thing with pregnant women. She's like, they tell you this when you get pregnant. I'm like, what? Like, this is one thing I did not know. Apparently, a lot of pregnant women start eating dirt. That's a thing. What?
Fertilize the baby.
It's like iron deficiency. They're like, who is eating dirt?
Yeah.
Who's like, I need iron, so I'm gonna eat some dirt right now. It's like, can we give you a steak or something? What is happening?
There was a TV show, I can't remember the name of it, but it was about people's like bad habits and things like that.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. My strange addiction.
Yes,
Something
and there was one lady on there who used to eat sheetrock.
Yeah.
See,
There
that's
were a
why
lot of
this movie
easy
is
ones
disturbing
on that
because
one. Yeah.
it's totally realistic. The dude's a complete D-bag, like the Invisible Man almost version of D-bag. So it's easy to like, hate him the whole time. I don't think it was great, but it was definitely entertaining watch. But yeah, like Jennifer Lawrence, I believe, if I remember correctly, no?
No. I
Who's
don't
the
think
girl?
so.
Not a big actress.
Yes.
That lady.
Isn't it the Hunger Games girl?
No.
No, it is. Haley Bennett.
Haley Bennett. My bad. Okay.
She's been in
I can see why you would think.
Looks similar, right?
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah, she does a really good job in the movie. Like she definitely carries it, and it's just a strange movie, man. She gets like, and it's the scary part is like how fascinated and like excited she gets to do it. Like you'd think it was like compulsive, like you can't stop yourself, like it's bad, but you can't stop. Like she's like really into it. I think that's so scary.
Can't wait.
Yeah, like she starts lining them up, and you see them like getting bigger, and you're like, don't do that. But yeah, that was one of the movies that I watched since then. In our 2020 episode, we talked about how many movies were delayed. And like Saint Maud still isn't out, and lots of movies haven't come out. The New Mutants have come out. I haven't got a chance to watch that one yet.
Spoilers. It's terrible.
Is
I
it
liked it.
terrible?
I liked it.
It's awful.
I liked
did not like it. I watched it. tried to
Based
watch
on
it
the
twice.
movies he's brought to the show already, I think I'll enjoy it.
I think it's top tier X-Men movies
You said it wasn't very horror, though, right?
because they're all garbage movies. Yeah, it's not horror.
No, it's not top tier X-Men movie at
Yeah,
all.
there's like X-Men 1, The New Mutants.
Does like
If-
Logan
if-
count?
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The Logan.
Logan's not an
count?
X-Men movie, but yeah.
Okay,
So Logan, X-Men,
I like
X2,
a
The New Mutants.
third of the horror of the X-Men movies. Like a third of them I like.
No, I'm mostly kidding, but New Mutants I don't think was terrible. It's a coming of age story, and it has horror elements, but it's really a coming of age.
So for Bloody Disgusting that like did a mock-up of it in the Dream Warriors, like that's not it. It's not Dream Warriors good.
I wouldn't. You get your hopes way too high
Okay.
if you're comparing it to Dream Warriors.
Okay.
Go lower.
Go lower, much
Way
lower,
lower.
way lower, lower than Happy Death Day.
No,
Yes.
it's way better than Happy Death Day.
Not even close. No. Nah.
And I haven't watched Freaky yet.
Yeah, that's
almost
the
bought
movie
it.
I missed as well.
I was gonna do it this weekend, but I didn't get a chance to because I've been doing the kitchen.
$20, hard to swallow right now.
Swallow.
So Lucas and Delvin, I want to talk, but I don't want to keep talking over you guys. So did Lucas or Delvin have other movies you watched?
I did.
that maybe
yeah.
we didn't bring up on the show.
Yeah.
Oh, I just wanted to say I fulfilled my duty to watch Evil Dead. I'm sorry, I'm bringing it up again.
I get it up again.
I loved it. It was great.
It's so damn
That's good to hear.
good.
I said if I liked it, we could leave it there, and I did. I forgot. I don't know. It's a gruesome movie, man. It's a real squirmer, and I enjoyed it a lot.
What do you think about Josh and I's opinions on it? Like, I love that movie because,
Don't tell me what you think about my opinion.
well, it's a remake, right? But like, it's so true to its remake. Like when you're comparing it to other remakes, like if you think of like the Friday the 13th remake,
right? You can definitely line this up in the movie, or in the movies, and say watch the first three, and then line this up and say here we go, here's the reboot. But it feels like it just falls right in line with the rest of them.
Yeah.
From the
That's what makes it special.
to, I mean, it cranks up everything to 11. It goes over the top, and it's just nuts. But so are the rest of them for the time, right?
So damn good. I love it.
It's great. I did watch Southbound, like you asked me
Oh
to.
yes.
As did I.
What are the thoughts?
I was not into it at first. I was having a tough time, and then we got to the accident on the road with the girl, and everything turned for me right from that point. It got so much better, and that really drew me in because the other parts were fine, but it was just kind of okay.
It's obtuse.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it gets like weird and cool, and you're wondering what's going on.
Traveling down life's hellway.
Yeah, exactly. Not a great movie for me, but a good one.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about the platform.
What do you think, Southbound, Josh?
I didn't love it at the start, like Lucas. I think I enjoyed it more a little earlier than Lucas, though, like with the girls' story.
Mm.
I get how it all fits together, but I really just at the beginning they don't really like give you any tools to form any opinion on it, and it just was like it seemed.
I thought that was intentional.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, but it just didn't click with me, and in fact, I really just didn't enjoy it at all, and it was so short. It felt like I was like, okay, it's an anthology. The first one's
5
relatively-
completely different directors, shot different times. They weave all that together.
Yeah, and the first one's like the shortest of all of them.
Yeah.
I know it ties it all together in the end, but I just didn't like it. I didn't understand
that payoff
the
doesn't
motivations
at all till the end.
Until the very end.
But I think each story got better for me. Like I liked each story more until the end, and
Okay.
yeah, it was good.
Can't win 'em all.
Like, I'm glad I watched it. It just wasn't.
And
like,
you like anthologies, right?
I genuinely
Creep Show
think
and
they're
stuff.
okay. I don't know that like for our list, as much as I like anthologies, Tales from the Crypt, Tales from the Dark Side, Outer Limits. I think these are all good, fun things. I don't know that they would ever be like tops on my list.
So that's how I kind of feel about anthologies. Like I've watched a bunch of them, and none of them like I love.
Yeah, because
That's always been my case.
You typically have like greater and lesser than in one thing.
Yeah.
So it's hard to like put them all together and like
I got you,
just giant like awesome package.
Lucas.
The last thing I watched was Mom and Dad, and I wanted to like it more than I did, but by the middle of it, I was just like, I could see it's one of those movies where I was like, I can see why other people would like it, and I don't hate it, but I was just not in the mood for it.
You know what your
at
problem?
all.
Not enough alcohol.
That's probably
I'm
true.
telling you, the more you drink, the better that movie gets.
It has a lot of fun. It's got fun factor, right?
Super fun.
It's got what's his name?
Nicolas Cage.
Your favorite actor that you just named 8 other movies. That's the sad part about this. You said Colorado Space, but not Mom and Dad. Come on, man.
I know, right? I'll give it another shot. I'll go back.
6 out of 10. Not enough
Don't
neon
watch
horses.
It again.
Well, I'm not
There's
gonna
so many other movies.
start it from where I stopped watching it. But I can see why. It's got style. I'd say it's style over substance, and that's okay sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't know. It kind of felt a little one note, so it didn't hit check all the boxes for me.
I would agree with that. It is one note.
Other than that, I rewatched Midsummer with the 4K.
Of course you did.
I finally got my hands on. So good. Like my opinion elevated more of this movie.
Do you
but
just
we'll
want to
talk
start a
about it.
Midsummer podcast? We could do
Johnny,
that.
I watched a video of someone
Spoilers.
watching Midsummer for the first time. I watched a 40-minute YouTube video of someone watching Midsummer for the first time.
Did it
Wow.
make you mad?
No, I loved it. It was
Okay.
great. His
Every time
reaction
I
was-
watch like one of those like kids discover Nirvana or something, like that just makes me mad.
kids discover Midsummer.
You know, it's just like these out of context people that don't know anything. You know, it's
Yeah.
just like just stop.
But yeah, just fell in love all over again. And
Oh, that's right. You both got your Midsummer editions, didn't you?
yeah,
but
Yes.
So good.
Did you
Great
get your
party.
Midsummer definitive edition, Delvin?
No.
Then you're out of the damn show.
I bought
Just
the DVD,
leave the show.
Blu-ray, and we'll get. I watched it. We'll get to it. We'll get to me.
yeah, okay. That's it. That's it for me.
Okay, well, I'll just say quickly the platform, which we've already kind of talked about, but
Yeah.
boy, do I love that movie. I love that movie a lot. I mean, we talked about it on the show, so I don't regurgitate it all, but like it's a really good premise, and they do it really well. That's a must watch. If we
I
had to
think it
put
does a
that on
good
the
job.
list, I totally. And had I seen it sooner, I don't even
Yeah.
remember what year it came out, but had I seen it sooner, I probably would have. I probably would have
19.
pushed it. 19? Oh, definitely. It didn't have a chance in 19. That sucks for that movie then.
yeah.
I
It's
like
one
it,
of-
but I don't like it Midsummer.
It's one of those that it
Better than Paranormal Activity 3 though.
it's commentary on the state of humanity, really, you know, and those types of movies usually do well with me as well. Something that gives you something to chew on while you're watching it, thinking about like how people treat others.
What would I do?
Yeah, exactly. What would I do? What would Jesus do? Cody. But seriously,
Cody.
yeah, it was good. I did not expect to like that movie at all, but it was much
Nice.
better than I expected.
Really good.
I got a couple more. I want to let Devlin take it over to round this out for us. But I wanted to say I watched Super Dark Times.
I
Yeah.
did too. I did too.
What'd you guys
That was
think?
okay. I don't like.
I would agree.
They don't answer a lot, and the movie just kind of like I don't like the conclusion of the movie, and I don't like that they don't ever like give you a good motivation as to why this kid does what he does.
Oh, I would disagree with that. I think I don't think there was anything that I felt was unexplained, but I do agree that I think it's good. I'd say that it's good, like 7 out of 10, good. I don't think it's great. I don't think it would top any of my lists, but I do think it was good. It was an entertaining movie.
It took a little while to pick up for me too, and I really hated the character who died first. So like I guess I felt okay about that.
Yeah. Well, that, and I think
he's your annoying
the
friend.
motive was paranoia. Just how far like paranoia is going to seep in to like turn everybody.
True.
I also didn't really like the ending.
I didn't like it because you don't know what happens to the person you spent the most time with in the movie.
Oh, I just didn't like the ending. Like I didn't like this final battle thing that they were doing in the yard.
Yeah.
And actually like this entire, like, I felt like the motive with the girls and stuff was a little loose, considering like the arc of the entire story. And I felt like it lost a little of its groundedness. Like you felt like the investigation and stuff would have kind of, like I would have liked to have seen more of that. Like some police cross-examination to like kind of make the kids go a little more crazy and suspecting of each other and stuff like that. I would have liked, I think that would have explained the kid who ultimately turns, I won't spoil, but the kid who ultimately turns, I think it would have explained that turn a little bit better if they just pushed him over the edge a little more.
Yeah.
It just kind of he just kind of turns real quick. And it's weird because from the first half of the movie, he's kind of sweet. He's a sweet kid, you know? And like, I don't really get that why you turn part.
And his name was Josh.
That's really why you didn't like it.
But yeah,
I
I
watched
liked
Braid. Did you watch Braid? No, I asked you guys this.
Did not watch
No,
Braid.
I wasn't aware of this.
I discovered while looking for movies. Braid is an interesting film. It is a story about 3 girls who grew up together as friends. There's an accident where 2 of the girls injure their friend who was I don't want to say special because that's like it's special in the way where I don't mean it to be demeaning. Like she's just a special girl. Like she's different than the other girls. And something happens to her where a traumatic experience happens to her, and the other 2 girls like end up leading this like life of they become drug dealers, right? And they get in trouble, and they know they can go back to this childhood friend of theirs who's stuck in this weird childhood memory moment, but they have to play this game when they go back to see her at her mansion, and it's a fucked up game, but they know that there's a safe in this mansion, and they're trying to rob their friend, but they have to go along with, I'm going to call it playing house.
Okay.
It is bizarre, it's trippy, it has a Shyamalan-esque ending. If you can get it for free, watch it. I wouldn't say pay for this movie, but if you can watch it for free, it's on Amazon Prime and you have the time, check it out. I watched
Man, that
Brightburn.
should be their new motto.
Yeah.
It's on Prime if you have the time. That's good. That's real good, Josh.
Watch Brightburn. I actually really enjoyed it for what it was. I don't think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
But if they had like a DC license, it would probably be a good superhero movie.
Brightburn versus Superman.
Which is, I think,
wasn't a fan of Brightburn.
The end credits were the best part of that movie.
Yeah,
yes.
I agree.
Oh yeah,
They were like, and I'm not saying that like as a joke or sarcastic. In the end credits of Brightburn, you see this dude going off and like wrecking the world, and it's like, where was that this entire movie?
I felt that
I think a sequel could be great.
Yeah, no, that I agree with.
I felt that's a good example where I felt like the character wasn't really like he just goes bad for no reason.
Yeah.
Puberty,
Power.
Lucas.
Yeah, but you know,
We all go crazy at puberty, Lucas.
I was just
you don't
power.
you
Like
don't
if you
kill
could
people.
just zip across the world, you might just do bad
Yeah.
things because you can.
And I hesitate to
Props, absolutely.
I hesitate to bring this up, but the last one I mentioned was Tigers Are Not Afraid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just hated it.
Did?
But I watched it, but I hated it. I absolutely hated it.
Good. I'm glad you hated it.
Good.
Feel bad with hated.
I was gonna say, what was that other superhero movie where like the kids get powers and then they start fighting each other in the clouds and stuff?
Yeah,
We're talking about Chronicle.
Yeah.
That was better than Brightburn.
agreed.
I agree.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Delvin, I passed the torch.
Delvin, you have the floor.
Okay.
All right, moving on. We're gonna keep.
And we're out of time.
I already said Train to Busan, which I love. I'm gonna save the third one for last because Donnie's gonna try to kill me. But the second one,
If you say Peninsula or that wretched The Relic, if you say The Relic, Delvin,
no.
you're off of PSVG.
Now I have to watch The Relic.
Good movie.
No, but the second one I watched, to people's surprise, I watched Bit.
Oh.
I haven't watched that.
Because Haley kept harassing me about it for months on end. It's now on Tubi for free, by the way.
Everything is.
Okay.
So you can check it out if you want to watch it. I think it's a fascinating movie. I think it's
Tubi legit has a better library than Prime.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Like you can go watch Alf.
But it's with ads, though, right?
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, but they're not that much. They're like 15 seconds at the start, and then you can like watch the whole movie.
What are we sponsored by Tubi? Tell me about this movie, Delvin.
Especially for like horror. And I'm sorry to like throw you off, but like there are a lot of good horror movies on Tubi.
A lot.
I've watched
It's a real thing. Yeah,
and they're free.
yeah,
Like
they're free.
100% free.
Mm-hmm.
But Bit is basically the Lost Boys with women.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a cool concept in terms of, okay, this trans woman moves to a town because of situations happening, and she runs into a group of women vampires. And they have their own code, and their code is certain rules and things they follow, but one of their main rules is you never turn men because men don't know how to deal with power.
You never talk about Fight Club.
But the movie, I think the movie is fascinating in the term. I think it's a really cool movie to watch, a really fun,
Putting on the list.
good scary movie.
Bit.
It takes
I like the Lost Boys.
it takes the vampire thing and just flips it around a little bit and tweaks it. I think if you're one of those people who are like, oh, the social justice warriors, they're doing this, they're trying to stuff this, you're not gonna like it. But if you can watch the movie and just enjoy it for being a movie and not get wrapped up into all your social issues and things like that, you'll enjoy it a lot. I think it's really good.
Social issues.
Yeah, because people be like, oh, there's girl vampires. They don't want to bite men.
Speaking of girl power, Josh, didn't you watch The Craft, the new one?
I did watch The Craft, yes.
Not any good? You haven't
was
mentioned
fine.
it to this point.
It was fine. I forgot, actually, when he mentioned Girl Lost Boys, I was like, oh, shit, I watched The Craft, and I didn't mention it.
All right, so if you were a fan like me and you own the Craft Collector's Edition, will you like the new one?
It's a slow burn. It takes a while to get to where you want it to get to.
Because I love The Craft, and I thought my
I think
daughter
you should
would too.
watch it, but I don't know that it doesn't hold a candle to The Craft.
Oh, okay. I set Victoria down to watch it with me. I was like, you're going to love this movie. It's so great.
Yeah.
These girls go, and they do it, and my daughter hated it. She's like, Dad, this
David
movie
Duchovny
sucks.
was in it. He was good. Michelle Monaghan, she was in it. She was good.
She's amazing.
She's the mother. David Duchovny is the father-in-law, or the stepfather. Sorry, stepfather. It's a good story. It's very like what I imagine current teeny movies are.
I got you.
Like, because I don't know that because we're all me and Delvin are old. And then
Yes,
you guys
that's
are
accurate.
so I think it's worth a watch, but
Okay.
I got to watch it on my cousin's Vudu account. I would say don't rent it for $20. Wait till you can watch it on video on demand.
Good. Delvin?
Number 3, Delvin. We're all waiting.
I saw Midsummer.
Oh,
Hang on. Hang on.
No.
I'm not going to let you do this to the show.
I am going to do this.
Nope. I think I can mute people. I think I could just mute them, guys. I could. No, I can't maximize. I can only maximize.
I mean, it's okay if you didn't like it.
I
not
did
okay.
not like it all. I found every character in that film unlikable.
That's kind of part of it.
From the girl whining through the whole film.
Whining.
Oh no!
Whining as her sister and parents kill themselves. Whining. Wow. Look at this whiny white girl.
Yes. Yeah.
Whole family's dead.
I'm like, shut the fuck up and stay home. Like, don't come ruining my fucking vacation with
Wow.
you.
Wow.
Like,
Talk
no.
about being empathetic to the people in us.
Alvin, are you on the boyfriend side?
No.
Are you
Did not like it. I'm like, oh, the boyfriend is just the shit.
Well,
I'm like,
that's that. He's the heel.
everybody was
You're
awful.
supposed to hate him.
I
You
hated
were agreeing with
everybody.
what you just said.
I cheered for the cult. Like,
It's okay to do that.
Yeah.
kill all these people. Kill
Yeah.
her.
For
kill
the ginger
family.
and the boyfriend, I think everybody was kind of cheering for the cult.
Yeah, I'm like, this is.
The ginger.
I hated
The ginger,
everybody.
yeah. The guy that pisses on the tree, he gets it.
That's Cal Kestis, buddy. You better show respect.
Yeah, that guy was.
I think we were all rooting for the cult. We're like, oh, you done messed up, dude. That's the sacred tree.
I will say this. That scene with the cliff is one of the coolest scenes I've seen.
Yeah.
It is super cool.
That thud.
My wife watched that scene when I was watching that dude watch the movie, and she's like, "What are they doing?"
it's so cool because it feels super realistic
Yeah.
to the point it's uncomfortable. It's like you're watching a snuff film.
Yep. And then they show you the hammer. And you're like, that can't be good.
Yeah. And then when the old guy falls wrong, I'm like,
You felt right. You just didn't die.
Do you know how bad it would be to fall off that and live?
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be the worst.
It'd be the worst. And then you
the
can't
hammer.
even take
Then it would be the
Yeah,
worst.
you can't even take a gun out. You
No,
have to have a mallet like Diablo or something. What the hell? Where is this giant mallet come from?
He didn't feel any pain because his group was there with him, and they were all
No, he
with.
felt
feeling it for him.
that. He felt
I don't
all of
know.
that.
We don't did they drink the water before they went? Because if they drank the water, you don't know what they felt.
They all started orgasming him, and he's like, "No, that's not what I'm feeling. Don't do that."
Delvin, I hate you.
Oh,
It's like my favorite scary movie of all time. I freaking love this movie.
I own it now on Blu-ray.
Good.
Good.
So,
You-
so
Yeah.
I have to sit here and stare at it for the rest
How,
of my life.
hang on a second. How in the hell can you come here with this hot take after you tried to get Happy Death Day in the top 15? What the
It's
hell's
better-
wrong with you?
It's better than Midsummer.
All right, listeners, this is why we don't invite guests to the show. Like some people fly too close to the sun.
This woman was annoying. Like, I don't want to go on vacation. I'll go on vacation and ruin your vacation with you. Stay your ass home.
Her
sounds like
family's
Melvin dated
dead.
this girl.
So stay home.
Stay
doesn't want
home.
to be alone. She has realistic, depressive feelings, and she doesn't know what to do with her life. She's being led around by her boyfriend that she clings on to because she
He's the
desperately
only
doesn't
representation of
know what to
love that she has in her entire life.
Look here.
Alvin,
No one
did you
loves
date
me.
this girl?
And
Did you date this
and I
girl in
don't do
your
that.
past? That's what happened.
Yeah, this isn't going well for you in
Yeah.
Tinder right now. Like, you can't let this podcast get out.
No, like I can't. I was like, oh my God, this girl and this guy, they are just the worst.
He was so much more empathetic to the clones and us.
Yes, very much so. They were at least likable.
Like the
murderous
lifeless scientific clones.
were
To be
more
fair,
likable than this girl and these people.
That boyfriend is awful. Upon second watching,
Of
I'm
course
like,
he is.
I hate him even
That's
more.
the point.
He's so fun to hate.
So when you light him on fire, it's awesome.
I want to. Oh, actually,
That was cool too. I will say that.
in the director's cut, they added a scene that I definitely don't remember from the theatrical cut, where they're arguing about leaving for like the very first time.
Yeah,
and that actually adds more. That
Yeah.
was the point where I'm like, this guy is such a manipulative.
That's probably the one scene that shouldn't have been left on the cutting floor, because the whole, like, that first act, like that first third of the movie, the whole time, like when they first get there and everything's strange, it's it's a very consistent response for you to be like, leave, just leave, and they never explain why they don't leave.
Right.
Yeah, and that scene goes a long way for that.
I think it sets up the idea that he was thinking of staying for doing his thesis or whatever before that comes into play later.
And when it comes into play later, it's kind of like out of left field a little.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Chidi from The Good Place is like, I'm doing my thesis, and then he's like, oh, I think I might do it
So
too.
am I. You're like, what? The
I think everybody
that makes
knows
you hate him more. What a
Yeah.
dick. Anything else?
Nah, I've ruined your life enough. So
Yeah.
You can't trust you.
Did you watch any of the movies that we recommended for the first time that you really liked outside of A Train to Busan? Yeah, outside of that, any other ones?
It's a few other ones. I can't think of it off the top. Green Room.
Okay, good.
I like that one a lot. That was really good.
Not enough to bring it up over Happy Death Day, but he liked it.
Yeah, I like that.
I won't bring that against you. It's okay.
I will. All right, we've done our top 15. We've talked about the movies. All right, so I've got a couple topics that we were kind of asked about during the season that I kept writing down, and then I have questions. Which one do you do first?
Questions first.
All right, questions. Splig asks, is Ari Aster flying too close to the sun? What does it take for horror to translate? Oh, no, let's just do that one. Is Ari Aster flying too close to the sun?
No. There's no way to tell. It's impossible to tell if he's flying too close to the sun.
I think anytime you start off as high as he started off, like at some point there's only one way to go, and it's to go down.
He can go down. Like, it's okay to do that. Like, it's our problem, not his problem.
That's a good point. Good point.
I think that he proved himself by doing Midsummer after Hereditary. He could have easily had a stinker of a second movie. I wouldn't be surprised if he branches out into something else.
You mean his 4-hour horror comedy he's doing right now?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hard.
It'd be bad.
It's hard.
Reminds me of like the Dewey Cox movie.
Like this.
Oh boy, walk hard. The Kevin story. We need to talk about Kevin's story.
The second question was, what does it take for horror to translate better to video games? And we actually had somebody wanted us to talk about horror video games, so we'll just broach these two together. And I'd like to kick it off because I'm going to set you up to knock it out of the park, Lucas. I think the best thing that happened to horror video games is VR. In a lot of ways, when I play horror video games, I feel like, and I've talked about this on PSVG, I think, on numerous times, this generation horror video games feel stale, in my opinion. Like the whole, I'm being chased by a monster, but I just have like this camcorder and I've got to go find batteries and stuff. Like, I am so over that.
Yeah, the first person thing really killed it. I think we've seen a lot of Outlasts,
you have no agency in those games. There's no agency as the player. And when you do have agency, like in Resident Evil, you're like freaking Rambo. That's why Resident Evil 7 is so good. And I will say this. I really liked Resident Evil 7 when I played it. I thought it was a great game, but it wasn't like my favorite game ever. And I think as time passes, I think I appreciate it more because of just how much it stands out in this space where we just don't have, it's like there's no new ideas in the horror video game space. And that's where I think VR comes in, because horror movies or horror games in VR, totally different experience. Even if it's that same thing, feels different, completely different when you're wearing your face, you're moving around.
It's not even easy to explain to somebody who hasn't done VR before. You can't even just say like, oh, you'll be scared. What does that mean? It's hard to explain.
Like Until Dawn, awesome experience. Not even like super scary, and it's an amazing experience. And it's no, I'm sorry, not Until Dawn. What's the other one? Rush of Blood. Yeah, super fun. Rush of Blood, and you're like on rails the whole time. And it's a really good VR experience, and that's like, that's an old experience that we've had in console. That game is not close to the same thing if you're playing on a screen. But playing in VR like ratchets up a bit. And as VR takes a better foothold, I hope we get like a full experience. Do you imagine PT in VR?
Oh gosh,
It'd be so damn good. That's like a reason to own VR. And I thought horror games was a reason to own VR. And unfortunately, so many of them now are either like trial demos or they're like not very good. Like I remember I played The Exorcist in VR. Don't do that. It's not very good. But as they get there, right, as the technology meets creativity, they will be, because it does. Even when that game wasn't great, but there were moments where that game felt great. Where I was one of the movies or one of the games I'll bring up is I cannot remember its name. What's the Wii U Zombie U on Wii U, right? One of the great things about that game is the tension that it sets when you are trying to run away. And in VR, Zombie U could be incredible. That game could be amazing. That same game in VR could be awesome.
Can I just add to that? I talked a little bit about it on Prime, but I played Walking Dead Saints and Sinners in VR.
Good one.
And I had not super scary, but I could see where it was going. It eases you in, so it's hard to find a really scary moment in the beginning. But there was a point where I had picked up a revolver and I shot it a couple times and got used to it. And then I went out and dealt with some zombies. Well, here's the thing. When it was time to reload, right? I did 6 shots or whatever, click, click. Uh-oh, I'm being chased by zombies. Time to reload. It's a revolver. I had to put each individual bullet in while I'm trying to backpedal, while I'm being chased by zombies. That's a stressful situation in something like Resident Evil 2. It's even worse when you're faced with those zombies right in front of you. You physically are.
And you have to move.
Yeah, you have to move. I'm backpedaling into things. Like, that's an experience that's hard to explain unless you're playing it, because your brain thinks you're in danger. Even though some part of you knows it's not real, you can't ignore the fact that there's physical 3D objects coming towards you that feel like they will actually contact you if you let them. So.
And the thing I was talking about with agency, right, is you, the player, feel like you have some sort of ability to dictate the outcome. In VR, you have all agency. Like,
yeah.
You are completely in charge of moving and equipping and doing everything in real time.
How well you can aim in real life is transferring over to how well you aim in VR.
Yeah. It just
it's all
doesn't,
there.
It feels like a completely different thing. So
that's good.
That would be my thing. Delvin, you said I saw you wanting to say something.
Oh yeah. I was going to say, I think we've gotten some really great horror games this generation. Like, I know people don't talk about all of them. Like, Evil Within, fantastic. It's scary.
It's good.
It's dark.
Is it really
it's
scary?
Weird. Yeah, there's a lot of scary elements in that game. In terms of the way that they mess with the world and things like that. The further you get into it, the more like weird and twisted.
True, scary, like horrific, like scare you. I don't know. I don't think I ever played, and I beat the first Evil Within. I didn't beat the second one, but the first one I played, I don't think I ever like jumped in my chair or like felt scared.
I think there's a lot of horror elements in there that's kind of scary. Like there's especially in part 2. Part 2 has the woman that chases you out throughout the game, who looks like from the I forgot what the movie's called, The Ring.
The Ring,
yeah, looks a bit like that. That's pretty creepy.
That's good.
And I'll also say Until Dawn.
Until Dawn's amazing. Yeah.
I think the whole agency behind, like, hey, you go left or go right, and knowing that these quick decisions could either mean life or death, and who lives or dies. I think there's something to that.
Isn't it crazy we don't have somebody copying that or making more of that?
Oh, yeah. We do, but they're bad.
Right, but they're bad. But like Until Dawn nailed it in a way, because it's not really a scary game, but what it is a scary movie. That's the pitch. It's a scary movie that you get to dictate the outcome in, which is what everybody thinks when they're watching these slasher scary movies. And they let you do that in a game, and that translated so well. It's so entertaining. Could you imagine a screen game like that?
That'd be awesome.
It'd be incredible.
And I will say this, while Medan wasn't that good, Little Hope is actually pretty decent.
I think they're both fine if you play them cooperatively and you have some fun, but they're like poor imitations of Until Dawn made by the Until Dawn people.
Yeah, I think Little Hope does a better job at it than Man of Medan. Little Hope has a little bit more scarier elements in it in terms of like you're in this essentially ghost town and these weird things that happen that you can't really explain. Whereas with Man of Medan, once you find the hook of like what's going on, it's like, okay, this is kind of weak.
Sure.
But Little Hope does a good job of like dragging you on to trying to figure out everything until almost to the very ending. Because I beat both games. And then when you get to the end of Little Hope, it's like, oh, okay, that's actually pretty unique. So I think they have these games that are very I don't know if scary is the word, but they're intriguing. And I think they're pushing the horror genre. And the thing that about it is now is that for every 20 bad horror games you get like one good one now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for every Until Dawn, you'll get like 20 Man of Medans or something like that, or something far worse than that. I think.
And by all accounts, Outlast is really good. Like the people that
Yes.
like those games like them. They're good, well-made games. I'm tired of the gimmick. You know, I don't want to go scrounging for batteries in drawers. That's not a fun experience.
They just made 1,000 Outlasts. Like Outlast came out, Outlast was great, so everybody started making Outlast.
Yeah, no, you're right. There was a lot of indies that did that.
And then you got the Five Nights at Freddy and stuff like that, and everybody makes Five Nights at Freddy, so it kind of became like almost watered down.
Mm-hmm. Nasty Boots wants to know, name 3 horror remakes. Include one that was so bad but could have been good.
Let me go first. Evil Dead.
Yep.
Friday the 13th.
No, absolutely not.
I'm not saying it's good.
No.
And the one I think is really bad, Nightmare on Elm Street. And I think that one could have been really good.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you why I think I like the concept of, in terms of Nightmare on Elm Street, of Freddy, because you couldn't do jokey, fun-loving Freddy Krueger like the other movies. You have to do like a sinister.
The problem is that, that's not Freddy Krueger, that's Robert Englund.
Yes. And I think you couldn't.
You can't do that unless you can find another Robert Englund.
Exactly. So I feel like going towards that sinister Freddy that's creepy and unnerving is good. They just missed the mark on it, like completely.
Okay. I think The Evil Dead. I didn't think of these in order. I'll go The Evil Dead, Dawn of the Dead, The Crazies. The Crazies is a really, really good remake. It does so much more than the original. All those movies are great, so I'm screwing up the list here. A really good, a bad remake that could have been good were any of the Hills Have Eyes. I don't think those are. The
first one.
Did you? I like the first one more than the second one, so I was going to say the Hills Have Eyes too. The best horror remake of all time is The Fly. And just to throw this one for good measure, since I screwed up the picture, the worst horror movie that I think could be good is The Blair Witch Book of Shadows. I think a remake of that movie done well in a new era of CGI and stuff could be excellent. The premise for that movie, the script for that movie is so like over the head of that movie. It's like it's so engrossed in itself. It felt like they needed an editor. Like somebody needed to rein them in a little. But the premise I liked. The premise is this witch is getting in everybody's heads and reality isn't what it seems. And it's kind of like the what is it? Is it the Cloverfield? Like, what is the paradox?
Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah.
Sort of like in similar ideas, but but they're all like going crazy, but none of them can realize it themselves and stuff. It's a what's the word? They really went for it in a way. Like it's pretty ambitious was the word I'm looking for. It's ambitious, and they just missed the mark completely. So it's bad. And it was also filmed in like 99 or 2000 or something. So it's also like not very good either. But like in a CG space done well, I actually think it could be I like the idea. The idea is better than the product.
Who's next? Me or Lucas?
I can go if you need some time.
I don't need any time, but you go.
Fine. Evil
You go,
Dead.
girl.
About it. The Thing, the remake of the remake.
Yeah, of course.
That was really good.
I know a lot of people. There's some people who are like, "Hey, it's not as good as the '80s one," but I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was horrible. And honestly, it's a setup for success, just like an Alien movie. You make an Alien movie, it's kind of halfway there already, just based on the premise alone. And then Fright Night, I actually talked about it on the show. I thought that was pretty good. I didn't have any memories of the original, so I can't really compare it. But just knowing it was a remake, I was like, hey, this isn't that bad actually. It Chapter 2 was a bad movie that probably could have been a lot better, especially following up such a strong start.
I was thinking of It Chapter 1 instead of The Crazies. Like, I really liked It Chapter 1 a lot, and I think it's better than the original It.
I do too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It has a much better pacing. Chapter 2 just needs some rewrites or something. I don't know what happened there. It had all the money. It had the budget. It had
Had
the
a great
look.
cast.
Had a great cast.
Just missed.
Connect. I don't know. So there you go.
Cool. Mine's quick and easy and painless. Dawn of the Dead, Evil Dead, The Crazies. 3 awesome
Shadow of the
remakes.
Dead.
Same.
Worst remake, Psycho with Anne Heche's butthole. Worst remake of a horror film.
All right.
We have one more question. Did you remember it? You asked me to remind you.
No, then
Okay. Do you want me to read it?
yes.
You put it in our chat.
Thank you.
Kyle the Pug. Kyle the Pug says, Jason Voorhees, Kayako Seke, Chucky, and Pennywise are in a cage match. Only one wins and escapes alive. Who is the winner?
Who are they again?
The girl from the ring
Yeah.
or Juwan? Chucky, Jason Voorhees, and Pennywise.
Those 4, Jason.
In
Jason.
the cage match.
There's
You
no
think Jason
world,
wins?
and there's no Jason in a cage match is hard to beat. Period. Like if you give Jason in an enclosed space, oof,
You're done for.
good luck.
Well, and Pennywise is going to be gone immediately because he works on fear, and none of
Yes.
those things.
Jason
will
ain't
fear
scared
him.
enough.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's no way
And
in
the
hell
ring girl can't
Chucky
disappear into any TVs.
I will
she's-
say this.
Chucky can't do shit against Jason.
I think Chucky can manipulate Jason
What?
because Jason's not the smartest person in the world.
Put him on his
But
shoulder.
that's the thing. Like you can't manipulate him because all he does is kill. There's nothing to manipulate.
But he's been manipulated.
He's just a
before.
machine.
He's been, but I don't think he beat Jason. I think he manipulated them to kill the other two.
The better
Then end up
question
killing
is
himself.
Jason Voorhees versus Terminator in a cage match. Who wins?
Oh gosh.
That's the better question.
Which Terminator?
Who cares? Pick one.
All of them.
Because I mean, in a lot of ways they parallel a lot as characters. Yeah, I mean it's different if you added in some different people like Michael Myers or Freddy, like they're more physically capable. Chucky's not Chucky without all of his toys and gadgets and gizmos and stuff like that. Like he needs the environment. He makes people. He sets things up for things to happen. You can't do that in a cage match.
He's evil Home Alone.
Yeah, of course. Speaking of remakes, you guys see the Child's Play remake?
I haven't. I haven't watched it yet.
It's on Amazon. It's on Prime. You can watch it for free.
Yeah, the one with Aubrey Plaza.
Yeah,
Yeah, I did watch that. I thought it was good.
it was good.
I like it.
I like it
It's
too.
one of those fun movies where
Did we
I don't
talk
know.
about it on the show? I don't remember.
not on the show. You and
You
I.
started to talk about it a little bit, but you didn't get into it.
I mean, so obviously I love Child's Play, and I love the Chucky character in the Chucky series. And here's the interesting thing: like, if you're a die-hard Chucky fan, apparently you're not supposed to like this movie
Oh,
because it's not Don Mancini, and like Universal just did it on their own because they own the Child's Play license, but not Chucky.
gotcha.
So like the real fans are all upset, and like Don Mancini's like all upset too. You're not supposed to like it.
Because didn't Mark Hamill Chucky in this one?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he did a great job. I liked it. I don't love it. I don't think it's a great movie. And out of all the movies, I mean, it's not like near my favorite at all. But it's better than some. It's better than Child's Play 3. I don't think it's better than Seed of Chucky, but we talked about that on the show a little bit. I like Seed of Chucky. I know people hate it, but I like it. You just got to get out of what it's not, right? It's not like a Chucky movie. It's a different thing. If you can get out of that, then it's a pretty good movie. Welcome back, Josh.
Thanks.
So Grouchy wants to go into a series of questions that I think really sets us up for our final act. But before I do that, people wanted to know about documentaries, TV shows, and series. We didn't really talk about any of those on the thing. So I'll kick this off just by saying I don't really do TV. I don't do episodic things a whole lot. When I do watch TV shows, it's usually really slapstick, like funny. So I like Modern Family, How I Met Your Mother, and The Office, and Seinfeld, and I just kind of watch those over and over again. I don't like long, drawn out, never ending like dramas and things like that. For whatever reason, I've never gotten into them. I can't stick with them. I think it's a commitment thing. It's too much of a time commitment. It's too much to follow. Like, it's very rare for me. And that does apply to horror, even though I love the horror genre. Like, I just can't keep doing it, right? I like movies. I like enclosed stories that are being told to me that, have a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I never get into to horror series. So what about you guys?
I do.
Yeah?
And I can name 3 off the top of my head that I love. The first one, The Purge, the first season of the Purge TV series is very, very good. It feels like I think it's very good. If you like The Purge, I think
I love The Purge, and I love Lily Simmons, and it's not good.
I think the first season is good. The second season is horrible. But the first season of the show is pretty good. My second choice, Ash vs. the Evil Dead. It's fantastic.
That's on my list.
I started that. That seemed okay. Yeah.
It is bloody. It is graphic. It is an extension of Evil Dead in every way. It's dark. Characters die and they don't come back. People you like. It's so good. It's so good.
Yes, I agree with that.
I highly recommend that show. And the third choice, which I don't think enough people watch it, Twilight Zone on CBS All Access.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. It's a continuation of the Twilight Zone series from back in the day, done by Peele. And I think it is really good. It's dark. It's reverent. I think it's just like, if you like the old TV series, you'll like the reboot. I'll put it that way.
Nice.
Okay.
I got some. First season of American Horror Story. Fantastic. First season.
Yeah, that's the only one I've watched, and I wanted to get into it more, but
That's the one I've probably watched the most. I've watched most of the seasons. Some of them are better than others, but I do like American Horror Story.
First season was fantastic. Second season.
I think the reason I like that one different than the other ones is that every season is its own thing. So I know that I'm signing up to watch 10 episodes and that's it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes. I know you didn't love this, Donnie, but The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, I thought was great.
I didn't hate it, and just I watched like
Too
5
much.
episodes and kind of stopped watching, and I didn't stop watching for any reason. It's just I don't know. It's hard to explain to people because TV is like such the rage with Netflix and everything. People love these series. I just don't get into them for whatever reason. Like it's just not. It doesn't fit. Like
That's fair. It's also you got to like wait in between. It's not like a consistent movie.
yeah.
I get that. Hannibal, which is a severely underrated TV show.
Fantastic.
Hannibal is a show that watching it said to myself, how is this allowed on network television? It is so gruesome and violent and scary. It is so good, and Mads Mikkelsen is incredible. It's such a great show.
And brutal.
And Hugh Dancy, who plays the main FBI guy, he's so good. Penny Dreadful is a show I loved from Showtime with Ava Green.
She's great.
Harper's Island is a really fun show where it was on CBS maybe. Katie Cassidy's in it. She's been in a few horror things since then. It's this like tale of revenge story where people just keep getting killed and you're trying to figure out who did it. It's probably like the TV version of a good I Know What You Did Last Summer. And like comparing it to like good things. Ash vs. Evil Dead was one of mine. And something I wanted to mention, not Walking Dead, but by Robert Kirkman. There's a show called Outcast, which
Very
not
good.
a lot of people have seen because it's on Cinemax, unfortunately, for most people. It's an exorcism show. It's based off of his comic. His comic is gripping and exciting and really well told, and the show picks right up. It's scary, literally scary. Exorcism, jump out of your seat, hauntings, all these kinds of things. It's very well done. Patrick Fugit is in it. Who is from Almost Famous, but he's grown up now. Very well done. Good show. I would highly recommend it if you can find it, or if you get like a free trial to Cinemax. There's 2 seasons, so you can try to like binge it out. But those are some good scary TV shows.
I'm not too much. I'm kind of like Donnie. I don't get into much TV these days. I did start watching one called Kingdom on Netflix, which is a South Korean show, and it's a period piece, which is what kind of had my interest. But it also seems to be about some sort of plague that is set to kind of overthrow this dynasty, but the plague brings people back to life and turns them into zombies. And I saw the first episode, and I'm kind of regretful that I didn't go back and watch it. I just kind of forgot about it, sort of. But it seemed to be really cool. So for something a little bit different, the cinematics and everything of it seemed really cool. And it seems to be only two seasons long, because like everything on Netflix, it got canceled.
Yeah.
From what I understand, from what I'm seeing here. So
as much as I don't get into TV series, one of my favorite things in the horror genre are documentaries and like behind the scenes pieces. And Shudder is full of that stuff. So if you have a Shudder subscription, or you want to sign up for one of the free trials, you can watch Horror Noir, which is about African Americans in horror movies, and like just like from the blaxploitation films like all the way to now, and it's required viewing. It's fucking fantastic. It's one of the best things I think I've seen in the space. And then not as good, but still worth watching, is Scream Queen, which is all of the Nightmare on Elm Street 2 and like the gay parallels the actor faced and everything like with that. And then getting into actual horror. Crystal Lake Memories and Never Sleep Again are really long, exhaustive documentaries of behind the scenes of Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. And if you're into those series, which so many people are, it's amazing stuff. So you just get so much backstory behind the effects, and Tom Savini, and he's talking about all the things he did to make all these effects that we love and all these things. And it's just, you don't ever get that kind of stuff. And that stuff is really, really fun. In Search of Darkness was a documentary that I funded on Kickstarter. I think I really like that documentary. It's great if you're looking for options to watch. You're like, like maybe next Halloween, you're like, I want to watch some old horror movies I've never seen before. Watch In Search of Darkness, because there's like 4,000 movies they cover in that movie. But the problem is they really only cover each one for a short period. So you don't get a long look at any of them. You kind of just get like a real quick elevator pitch in every one. Would be a downside to me. In that same vein, I really love Eli Roth's History of Horror. That is a TV series, but it's a little documentary, like a docu-series, where every episode... Have you guys seen that?
I never seen it. I heard of it though.
Yeah,
It's on my list.
you can buy it on anything, right? Like I buy the series, but you can watch it, I think, on A&E or History Channel or something like that. But every series has its own topic. So there's like a zombie special. There's like a haunted house special, a vampire special, a monster special, and all that. And then they go through kind of like a history of that genre and all the great movies that are in it. And they talk, to every actor kind of along the way. And they cut to different people, like Jack Black's in it at random periods and stuff like that. It's good. Rob Zombie's in there. Beware the Slender Man is a interesting thing about like a real world event that happened like around that type of stuff. Going to Pieces is a great one. Why Horror is a really good one that's more like psychoanalytical as to why we like horror movies. This one big horror fan basically just sets out to understand why he likes horror movies so much when so many people look down on it. He goes and talks to doctors and analyzes your brain and all the things that you do and that type of stuff, goes to convention and stuff like that. And the last one I'll pitch is The Best Worst Movie, which is a whole breakdown.
That's what it's called?
Yeah, that's exactly what it's called. It's called The Best Worst Movie. And they have all the 100 worst films, and most of them are horror films, and all the reasons why they're so bad. And again, another one of those really entertaining flicks if you're looking for options to watch. So I really like those. All right, boy, we're almost 2 hours, so we gotta wrap this up and get out of here. Grouchy wants to know, as a total experience, what was your favorite part of doing a limited series podcast, and your least favorite?
I know my least favorite was deciding to do every other week or whatever we did and having so much to cover in that amount of time. Like if I had done this when I was single and had all the time in the world, yeah, I could watch lots of movies. But right now that's tough. And just in that amount of time, I think it's tough for anybody because there's just so much. I mean, how do you cover a whole year's worth of movies in any genre, really? So that is kind of tough because you feel like you don't want to miss anything, and it leads you to really at least me personally, I was always worried that I was missing some hidden gem that we might not uncover. And then somebody's going to be like, you guys didn't talk about this movie. And
Yeah.
it's just, there's not enough time. And that really, it was a kind of a bummer, you know?
I agree.
I didn't like anything about doing it.
I mean, I'll piggyback off that. If nobody else wants to jump in, and I'll say the same thing. I mean, it was a real grind to do it, and I think it felt more like a grind because it didn't have to be. It was all self-imposed. We didn't have to do it, but we did it because we cared and we wanted to do it well, and that's something that I am proud of. And I think all three of us definitely shared that, and I think it shows. And for all the jokes that we give and the rightful criticism that we get for spoiling things, I think our spoilers show an in-depth knowledge of the movies that we covered. It's real easy for us to pull up a list and just read you a bunch of names and then pick one. We didn't do that. We watched them all, and you can tell. Not only do we watch them all, we proved it.
The whole thing.
Yeah. I really like the idea of doing a little serial podcast. Food for thought. I mean, this was really kind of my idea that I pitched to these guys like randomly, like right before June. I was like, guys, we should do this because we like this and I think we'd be good at it. And I love the idea of doing a little limited series thing. I love, launching like with the branding and all that stuff, but I thought we were a really good fit for it. And, it's kind of the rage. Like so many popular outlets and things are doing things like this that I thought it would be cool for PSVG to venture into that realm. So I liked the little experiment in trying to do it.
Yeah.
I'd say I thought of what my positive is that we got to talk shop. For me, movies, I went to film school. It hurts to not really be able to do anything in the actual film space right now, but to be able to at least talk movies, it's difficult. Not a lot of people want to like.
Wasn't Kyle like Kyle's first comment was like, we have a movie podcast now?
Yeah. Yeah, and like I don't do that in any other podcasts I do. So it's nice to break down, talk about movies, and kind of keep that muscle flexed and work it out for me. Because once you're out of that space for long enough, you just kind of don't ever go back into. Nobody's calling me to do movies right now. Let me just say that. You fall out. You have kids or whatever, and there's not enough time, and then you just fall out of that whole. Scene.
You gonna be in my movie?
Oh God! Can I be cameraman?
Nope. Oh, you're the star.
I don't act.
It's porn.
You don't have to act.
I was thinking that.
Straight up.
It's porn. But there are no male. There are no male.
We're
roles.
just going for reaction shots. You don't have to act at all.
It won't be that way, but it.
I love what we did. I got to see so many movies that I wouldn't have seen. While I 100% agree that it was stressful certain weeks for sure to try to, because you feel not necessarily, you feel obligated in a way, but out of want,
like
out
a
of
sense of duty.
Right? Like you feel obligated to put in the work.
You want to be good at it,
movies. Right? Mm. And like we definitely had our first two episodes were definitely rough because we filmed them the same day. For the first time, like filmed them, I said, recorded them for the first time back to back. So we definitely didn't hit our stride until like the fourth episode in, I don't think, but like I still think that shows, regardless of quality or assuredness of ourselves, we still put in the work on those films, so we can still talk about, I think, about like what we watched and our passion random, and we talk about movies we hated and movies we loved with the equal amount of passion. I think we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Goofing on ourselves too when we messed up and things like that. So like I enjoyed everything that we did. So yeah, I have only positive thoughts coming out of this.
Wow.
Delvin, an outsider's perspective.
I loved it. I thought it was great. It's when you listen to PSVG so much, you feel like you know people because of their takes on video games and things like that. So seeing this different perspective of each one of you on your movie tastes, some great, some not, Midsummer, but just
it follows.
Hey, why are you bringing all of us down, Donnie?
But
I'm just spreading it around.
But I loved it.
The lodge.
because it's just so cool to hear your opinions on movies and things like that. And it felt like almost like a kid in the candy store. Like, okay, what they got for me this week to listen to? Okay, this, I got to check out. Oh, I never saw this movie. Let me go watch this movie. And you I almost wanted you guys to put on a spreadsheet. I know that'd been too much to ask you guys to.
That's a part of criticism that we got. I think Sean was the first one to say, is like, I really wish you guys listed all the movies that you talked about. My hope was that like you'd hear one or two that you liked and you just remember those, but I could understand why. And I started like towards the end when I started releasing episodes at the end, I started trying to list them all. But yeah, that's something we could have done better.
I will say this though. Because you didn't list them all, it caused me to listen to episodes 2 or 3 times. Like, what was that movie they were talking about earlier?
Extra plays.
Google the movie.
We have replay value.
Yes. So I did that a lot, and that's a good thing.
My least favorite part, it was absolutely the scheduling and the editing and everything. One of the things that we did for this was a patron exclusive, early access. Because as always, I'm always trying to find a way to say thank you to those that support us at an extra level. So scheduling everything, I have a chart here. It's one thing you've never seen, Delvin, that these guys have seen. I have a chart here on when we record versus when it goes live for patrons versus when it goes live for the public versus when it goes live for YouTube. And I was the person behind clicking all these different days. And, we have 4 days per episode when things are going live, and they're like weeks apart. So trying to keep up with everything and making sure that I was staying on task. And I think even one time, I think I was a day behind, but just trying to do that for 11 straight weeks, tough, from August all the way through December. That was tough. And it's not like hard, but at the same time, it's so much more management than like Shaq, which we record and then I edit real quick and then I throw it right up and we're gone. This took planning, because not only did we have to do this, but we were in a tight time frame. And I told both of these guys, I knew on the front end that if we got behind, we'd never catch up. So we had to stay on task and we had to stay on schedule, because it would be really easy to fall behind a week or two. And then when we were recording every other week, because we all have our own shows, so trying to find time to fit these all in, if you miss a show or two, then a week turns into a month and a half real fast, like that. And all of a sudden we got shows coming out in February instead of December. So
I will say this. I would like to hear you guys continue to talk about horror, maybe in a more simplified way, because this whole process of a decade of horror is complicated. Like, you guys have to watch all these movies at one time, and that seems daunting.
That's a really good segue into Grouchy's final question, which is, how do you think you'll continue the tradition? Which, full carte blanche, guys. We haven't talked about the future of the show at all. Until this very moment. We haven't discussed it all privately. There have been 0 chats. And as much as I would love to put these guys on the spot and throw them under the bus, I don't think that would be fair. So I will go ahead and start. Because it was my idea and I wanted to do it. And I don't think it'd be fair to throw you guys under the bus. And I would say that I don't think we can do this again. I don't think I can do it again, personally. This is too much. It was too much. I thought we could do it, and we did it. We did a great job of it. I'm very proud of it. I can't do it again. I can't do, I've thought of different ways we could do the show. We could do a different decade, right? We could do genres. We could do a slasher season, or we could do a season on the 80s or the 90s or the 2000s. There's lots of things that we could do. And now that we have time to plan for it, we can even do it. Like, we could do it. Like, let's say we wanted to do the 80s. We're going to do Decade of Horror, the 80s, right? And we're going to do an episode a month between now and next Halloween. Like, you could do that. Still got to watch all those movies. Like, the preparation that goes into doing a show like this is so much more than the preparation that goes into our weekly video game. Because here's the thing, our weekly video game shows, that's our normal day-to-day life. It's not our normal day-to-day life to watch 19 movies in 14 days. And I don't think folks realize that some movies, some weeks we had 20, 25 plus movies to comb through. Yeah. And we did. And there were some that we divided, and there were a couple weeks there where Josh and I had over 40 movies that we wrote down as worth watching, worth mentioning on the show. Yeah. So there were periods where it was like, all right, you take these 5 and I'll take these 5, and then we'll just talk about it on the show. We all can't watch all of these, so we have to divide. It's just too much. And even if we did that now, you're talking about like right now, then we'd have to watch, 40 movies from 1981 between now and January, whatever. It's too much. It's too much. And personally, as somebody who has multiple shows, I know Lucas had multiple shows. Like, it was too much. It was a lot. It was a lot to ask for. I thought we could do it, and we did. But it was even a bit more than I think I thought it was when I asked you guys to do it. So my personal recommendation, not that we have to do it again, I'm not in charge. This is a team effort. So if you guys just hate the idea, then we'll find something else to do. But my personal recommendation is that we do this as a one-off special show next October for 2021. And we just kind of keep it going for like the 1 year. And maybe we throw in like, I don't know, a retro show or something where we riff or something. I don't know. But, we don't have to have any rules. That's the beauty of it. We do whatever the hell we want. It doesn't even matter that the show is called A Decade of Horror. Who gives a fuck? So like we can do whatever we want. So in that regard, I would definitely like to lower the strain because I felt it. Like coming into here, like I'm about to take a break. I need it. And it's not just because of this show, but it's the totality of the shows. And you're thinking of me, I do a DLC a month, and that's 2 or 3 hours. And I do a Strong Style a month, and that's 2 hours. And I do 4 Decade of Horrors and 4 Shacks and 4 Empire, and it's it's 20 days of the month. It's too much. It's too much. So
well, to kind of piggyback off of that, that's the struggle that I was having with the idea as well. Is like when you're talking about how many movies we had to watch. Basically, when I pick a movie, me personally, that's basically what I'm doing at the end of my day at night. Like that's the one thing that I can do because it definitely doesn't help that COVID happened, right? So my personal schedule is completely messed up. I used to have lots of free time. Now I have 2 hours at the end of the night, basically. So yeah, I mean, the want is there. But I'm glad that you said that because, you don't want to be the guy who's like, everyone's like, yeah, let's do more. And
I thought it'd be an asshole move to be like, what do you think we should do for the future, Lucas?
Yeah. And then just throw all of that out there, not knowing what you're going to say. Like the want is there. And like I said before, if things were different, I would be more readily to be like, yeah, let's do it. But with the time that I have now,
I very well could see this in a different world, in a different universe. If the three of us had met, this could have been our podcast. Instead of doing other podcasts, this could have been our podcast because the reason that I was excited to do it and the reason that I put so much into it with our art and our intro and our music is I thought, I told you guys this, and the reason Delvin's here tonight, which I should address at the top of the show, Delvin knew about this before both of you.
Yeah.
I talked to Delvin about this first.
Yeah, I remember you said
that. And
that.
I told Delvin, I was like, I think us three would be good at it. It's not, I didn't do it because I wanted it to do it because I like it. I just literally thought I was like the three of us together could do this well because I thought we complemented each other well. I thought our different taste in movies really put a nice, well-rounded, approach to this where I don't listen to horror movie podcasts. I have, and I don't necessarily think that's always the case with the ones that I've dabbled and sampled, where I think we all have a different taste. And then there's some overlap, like there's a Venn diagram of A Decade of Horror. There's that sweet spot, Midsummer, where all three of us come together. Yeah. But then, like there's a whole wide range of stuff that we wrap up. And I think collectively, we probably bring a lot for every horror fan. Like if you're a fan of horror movies, there's probably something for everybody here.
Yeah. Do you think there's Team Donnie, Team Josh, Team Lucas? You think people out there?
I think there could be.
My movie tastes align with Josh. And I hate that.
Oh, thanks. God bless anyone on Team Josh. I feel so bad for you.
Call in.
Call in now.
Delvin, did you like the year that was segments? We didn't talk about those at all. Did you like Josh's segments?
I loved them. I thought they were unintentionally funny.
It was a great little icebreaker. That's what it was kind of meant to be.
Because Josh just give out these horrible things that's happened. just made me just burst into laughter. Like, well,
just in case you forgot.
Just in case you forgot, this person got brutally murdered this year, and the election was screwed over.
Yeah. Donnie and I are like, that happened. That was 3 years ago.
The iPad? Really?
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, let's talk about something brighter. Let's talk about some horror movies.
Yeah.
I love The Purge, where everybody kills each other.
Speaking of murder, have you guys seen The Purge?
I'm gonna get to Josh, but also I forgot to mention. I was a little, and I'm gonna say this, but I want to make sure you guys know that like it doesn't matter to me. But I think I would be more gung ho to trying to do this again, like a full season, if our numbers were better. Show didn't really find an audience like our other shows have, and I didn't expect that it would. It's a niche show. I knew that it was a specialty show, but I thought launching with our audience and launching at the time we did, like we're around Halloween, I thought we'd find some people.
Garner some interest there.
Didn't really. 10% of it's basically like 10% of Shaq is what Decade of Horror found, and that's lower than I thought. If it was 40%. I'd be like, this is worth doing, guys. Like, let's find a way to do it. But it's not.
Why would you tell me that? No.
Well, it's like, here's the thing, right? Like, we don't disclose numbers. We don't talk about it on the team. I don't give a fuck. We don't sell advertising, so the numbers don't matter. Right?
But the work has to be worth the...
There you go. Yes. Is it worth doing? It's like, well, not a lot of people liked it. Now, that's not to say people don't like it. I've really much enjoyed Grouchy, Nasty Boots. My best friend Drew doesn't even listen to us or podcasts. He listens to this show. This is his PSVG show. And he told me like last week, I shared it with you guys. He just a screenshot. He's like, I miss not having the show every week. Like he misses it. And I know there's a handful of people out there, but is there enough to keep doing it? That's where the rubber meets the road, right?
It's a matter of resources and what you're spending your resources on.
Yeah. So I was hoping that maybe we would branch out, find a new audience that's outside of the video game space. And I don't think we did.
Nobody was there. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, people listened. It's not like it did nothing. People listened, but
yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
well, yeah.
not,
I mean, if you look at the Discord channel's activity, you wouldn't know that there weren't.
Which we definitely will keep going. We've always talked horror movies in the Discord before we ever started this show, so that's staying. And I would like to commit to at least doing, like an annual revisit, or maybe we do like a show or two or something. We'll come up with something, right? We'll come up with something. Definitely want to talk about Candyman and shit with you guys next year. Like I definitely want to do that. There's lots of movies that I'm excited to watch this year. So we can come up with something. And like I said, maybe we can leave it to the listeners. Maybe the listeners can pitch us, I don't know, movies or something to watch, and we can rank them. Like there's all kinds of ideas we could come up with. Or I was even thinking like, what if we did like 2 episodes or maybe 3 where we picked a year from a different decade, right? We could do like 2021. I'm just throwing out numbers like 2006 and 1986 or something like that. We could do something like that and just just lower the volume down, but still kind of keep with the same thing. That'd be cool. We could do that. That'd be fun. And let patrons or something pick the years or something, right? That'd be fun. We could do that.
I agree. Josh is nodding for you audio listeners.
I think there's a lot you guys can do with this genre. Like horror's deep and you guys are very knowledgeable. I feel like you can have a lot of fun with it, but the whole key thing to it is have fun with it. That's the main thing about it. Like when it starts feeling like a job, then it has to match what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Final thoughts, Josh?
I don't know, stick out like a sore thumb. I appreciate.
Like, damn it, we're doing this every month.
I respect your time and how much, like, I know how much work this is for you. So, like, I wouldn't want you to do something that you didn't have the time or resources to do, or like if the ends didn't meet where you wanted it to be. For me, I was ready to go. Another whole thing. I was ready to do the 80s or the 90s. I was game.
I wanted to do the 80s too, and I was thinking we could like 85, like we get like Lucas to do like an 80s version of our logo and stuff. I had all these ideas. Get like some 80s synth stuff going. We redo the logo, redo the whole thing. I had ideas.
It probably isn't a surprise to Lucas. Like I hounded Fluxipose for Netflixation for years. This is just something that I enjoy doing, and I don't have an outlet to do that. So this was my outlet. Even if it was just horror films, like films, movies, this is my thing. Like along with board games and video games, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was just such a joy to do. I had such a blast. I don't want it to end. I didn't want it to end. But I respect you guys' time more because we're friends in real life and we talk, and I wouldn't ever want to.
Right. You don't want to be a burden.
Josh is doing it, so I guess Josh wants to do it, so I guess we'll do it. And then
Right. No, I get it.
two
Let me ask you
episodes in,
this.
you're like, oh, God,
Here's another
why
idea I
did we do
had. Just floating it out there, trying to see if there's like some common ground here. I thought of like, what if we did like seasonal check-ins? Like every quarter, we did a show. Every 3 or 4 months, we get together, talk about the movies that we watched in the last 3 or 4 months. And then, like, at the end of the year, there'd be 4 new episodes, but they'd all be for, like, the same year. Right, like 2021. So we're not watching them all in such a condensed space. We kind of spread it out. The conversation's kind of ongoing. I don't know if that makes for a good show. That's the other thing about that. Like, is that too much? You know, is that like 2 or 3 movies per episode, or are there more than that?
Well,
You know?
I will interject here. I think you guys make the show. So the conversation that you guys have about the movies and things make the show what it is. So it doesn't matter that the time frame, what you're talking about. Oh, we talk about movies from 6 months ago. It's the banter between you guys, the selling of the movies to us that make the show special. So I don't think that even matters. Like, as long as you keep
I was
doing
thinking
it,
for us 3, like, does it matter to us if, you know, let's say we record in April, right? For everything that started January 1 to April. Like, what does that show look like? Are there 2 movies in there? Are there 8? Like, what's the content like that? And it doesn't have to be on a schedule. But one of the ideas I had was, what if we just kind of had a check-in so often where a surprise episode of Decade of Horror goes up? You know, like, it's just like, here's a new one. Like, Josh, it doesn't have to be every 4 months, right? It doesn't have to be that rigid. But I had that idea where we don't just save it like for this one big annual, because the whole idea behind this entire show was we used to do this. We did this for patrons for 2 years, but it was like a 4-hour freaking disaster of a podcast, right? And the whole idea for Decade of Horror was, can we structure it in a way that makes it more deliverable? So, like, would that work? Like, if we did it like once, twice, 4 times a year, where, you know, like, we just give you little updates, like, here's what's happened in horror movies over the last couple of months, you know, from us 3. Like, is that something listeners want to hear?
I think I have to mute it because someone's using a snowblower.
Are they shooting guns
11
again?
I think we have plenty of time to talk about it. I
Sure.
think also, if you want to get to like the Decade of Horror thing, you kind of had this idea earlier, but if you wanted to do the 2021 show, but then you also do like 2021, we can skip 2011 because we did that. 2001, 91, and 81. Like do a thing like it's
Like keep them in. Oh, I like that. That's good, Josh.
And you could keep the Decade of Horror thing. It just doesn't have the same meaning. And
That's
then that
good,
way
though.
you have it.
Yeah.
10 years of show.
That's not bad. I like that idea.
That was something else we could do. Like if you wanted to, like that way, you're introducing people to new to them movies while also maybe movies they saw that year. And then we're like, hey, like 2021, right? So the Conjuring, whatever new universe came out. Like, if you like this movie, check out this movie from 81 or 91. Like,
Ooh.
you would probably also like this movie or something.
Houston, we might have a winner. I really like this idea
Yeah,
because I could do that.
yeah,
I could do that.
I'm okay.
81,
That gives you
91,
plenty of-
01, and 21. I could do that. That's 4 shows. We could do
Yeah,
that
that's
in
a
1
lot.
month. Like, that's not that big of a deal. We could do that in 1 month. We don't want to, but we could. But here's the beauty of it. We've got 10 months to figure it out. That's a lot of time. You know, so we come off for Christmas, we come back, and yeah, let's do that. I can commit to that now. I think we can do 4 episodes between now and then.
Josh just saved the show.
That's a piece of cake.
Yeah.
Listeners, let us
Christmas
know if you
spirit.
like this idea. We could do
Yes.
1 big episode at the end of the year. We could do 4 episodes a year focused on 1 year. We could do 4 episodes a year focused on 1 year from each decade.
Decades of horror.
Ooh. Now we got to get a whole new damn intro.
Just
Damn
add
it,
an S.
Lucas.
Just add an S. Just write it right on there. Nobody will know.
Just scratch it out like spray paint.
You just hear them go at the end of our like decade.
That's going to do it for this show. We really, really hope you enjoyed it. Whether you found us on Patreon, whether you're a brand new listener to PSVG, if you are, let us know, right? Because that helps us going. Like if you've just listened to this all fall long and we have no idea who you are, say something. Like leave us a review, send us a tweet or something. Like that helps us want to keep going. And but for those of us in PSVG land that are in the Discord, that are on the Patreon, that follow us on Twitter, man, I really hope you guys enjoyed this. It was a lot of, I would say sweat, but it's definitely no sweat. It's just a lot of time and effort and love put into this, and I'm real proud of it. I think we did a great job, guys. I really,
Yeah, for a
really
counter, I don't care if they liked it because I loved it.
Oh, okay. Josh says, "Fuck you, Justin."
I hope you liked it too. I hope you enjoyed it with us. But
I agree. Fuck you,
podcast.
Justin.
Get your own show. I do. I wanted to clip that and use that like as art or something, like in our outro. That day that Justin was like, "I hate that you guys spoil it," and I was like, "Well, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not gonna stop doing that. So I don't know. Just don't listen or something. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you."
Watch the movies first.
Yeah, we tell you like it's every year. You know what the episode's about. It's horror movies of 2018. Like if you're scared, don't listen to that show.
We got like a whole episode of us name dropping him. He's good.
That's gonna do it. Thank you so much for listening, for tuning in, for watching. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you enjoyed this episode. And until next time, when we figure out whatever this is, good night. That's it. See you, folks.
Hi, I'm Chucky, and I'm your friend to the end. Heidi ho! Ha ha ha!